Since the very first broadcast.
Hello, Radio Olympia. This is direct television from the studio at Alexander Palace.
We've been addicted to the small screen.
You had millions of people tuning in.
Gathered round in the front room.
Television that you watched with your family.
We all sat round on a Saturday night and watched.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Steve Martin.
Watching the faces we loved.
Seeing these big stars.
Are you enjoying this conversation?
I think it's wonderful.
And the shows we couldn't miss.
Shows that endured.
Stuff that you always remember.
This is classic TV.
It's iconic telly.
Part of the fabric of our lives. Classic TV is good telly.
We love it when it goes right.
Oh, that's excellent.
Incredibly fun to watch.
But love it even more when it goes horribly wrong.
He'd never done that before.
Oh, you silly gitful.
This is Car Crash.
From the black and white days of the 1960s.
Good evening, all.
Romping through the 70s.
Cracks is private. Golden Betty.
And 80s.
And then bam!
To the long-running shows we still love today.
There's a man! Yes!
Help!
Coming up, Sarah Green recalls the moment Gordon the Gopher had a run-in with a frisky puppy on Going Live.
Shih Tzu just wanted to leap onto Gordon and have his way with him, I think.
A contestant draws a blank on Mastermind.
Pass, pass, pass.
He just goes blank.
I'm going to get naughty. I'm going to get 0.
And Anne Diamond and Nick Owen open up about the Storm and Egg Cup at TV-am.
Hello? Everything started to collapse on screen.
Horrendous.
So get ready to relive the memories.
It's cringingly embarrassing to watch.
Awful. As tonight we celebrate the best and worst of classic TV.
Way! Way!
Whoosh, he's gone.
You see them falling and you're falling with them.
Back in the late 80s and 90s, 9 million of us were shouting top, middle and bottom every Monday as we played along with ITV's mega quiz show, Strike It Lucky.
Strike It Lucky was huge.
Ran probably for about 13 years on television. A very, very popular programme.
Strike It Lucky involves people answering questions on general knowledge.
The real name of Julio Iglesias is Manuel Tonsilitis. Is that true or false?
False. And go from one side of the set to the other, releasing the prizes, which are sort of held up in special windows.
So what you got? Asparagus for a year.
It worked because of Barrymore.
Oh, Michael, I'd love to kiss you.
Sorry?
I'd love to kiss you.
He was the biggest star on British television.
Oh, a full one, you want, do you?
What Michael brought to the shows that he hosted was immense enthusiasm and energy and a natural wit.
Any children?
No, 5 cats.
5 cats? How the hell did you do that?
It was just so funny. Whatever happened, you know, if the contestant said something, he could make it hilarious.
What sort of play is the Student Prince?
I'm going to go for... Operetta.
The great thing about that particular show for Michael was it was a physical show because Michael, of course, physical comedian. It enabled him to bound up and down the stairs and run across.
That was like a little workout, the whole Strike It Lucky set. He was always up, down, jumping over, leaning down.
Visually, it was fantastic.
But Barrymore's bounding about didn't always go according to plan, which was exactly what happened when he was helping out a pair of unlucky contestants.
OK, well, we better tell you what you've won. Well, you, Kent, nothing. Sorry, but I think you're very unlucky with the categories. It depends if you're a certain age group or that, and you get...
This marvellous couple had won no prizes at all, and Michael thought, nah, there's good television here. I'm going to make sure they win a prize.
Oh, there we go. See what's in that one. Garden shed. £150, the garden shed, the cut there, that's it. OK, let's get them. There we are. All right.
And Michael, bounding down the stairs, really pleased with what he's done.
And then bam!
Falls down right in front of the contestants.
I don't believe it.
I just fell over. Inside you're like, someone call the paramedics.
He'd never done that before.
That's been a series and a half I've got away without doing that.
Used to using the sets for his gags, Barrymore's accidental fall made him the joke and had the audience laughing at him for all the wrong reasons. And there was no stepping away from the gaffe, as it kept getting played in best-of shows.
It was inevitable that at some point, this lanky, energetic lunatic was going to fall down the stairs.
It's extraordinary that he didn't get injured more, to be honest.
Just goes to prove in television that no good turn goes unpunished.
Still to come, we're back to the 60s,
Good evening, all.
the 70s and the 80s
Would you please get on with it?
for some golden oldies.
His toast attacked Noel Edmonds.
An actor gets tongue-tied on Dixon of Dock Green.
It's down at Dick Green Dock. Oh, shit!
Dixon Green Dick.
Dock Green Nick Dick.
I can't help it! I can't help it!
And on a classic game show, they can name that tune,
Carriage and Pair!
but they can't open that car door.
Anticlimax of that happening.
You know, you got one job. Unlock the car.
Before the Bill, the Sweeney, Juliet Bravo and even Z cars, launching in 1955, we had Dixon of Dock Green. A weekly BBC crime drama set around events in the fictional Dock Green police station.
Drinking tea, I suppose. Oh, no, we've no time for that sort of thing here. It's all go, you know. Come on. Hey, Frank Watson.
Ah. Dixon of Dock Green was a very big thing in the 60s and 70s.
Everybody watched Dixon of Dock Green. We didn't really have much choice, actually, because I think there were only 2 channels at the time.
Good evening, all.
And Jack Warner played the part of the policeman.
One afternoon at 2:55 p.m, 3 men walked into a bank in North London.
He used to introduce it, talk about the story that was coming up.
I call it now that cosy television because you knew they'd always catch the bad guys.
Oh, blimey.
It was gritty, so it looked real.
I shall need 2 armed uniformed men as well who are authorised shots.
Well, Sergeant Wills, he's an expert shot, and PC Dewar, he's authorised.
It's pre-recorded, but there's still pressure, because 10 seconds of camera time can be worth thousands of pounds.
Andy, did you trace that phone call?
No, he rang off too soon.
They wouldn't have had much time to rehearse.
But not everything went to plan in one episode from the 21st series with actors Alan Tilvan and Victor Madden.
You hurry up, Bodine. Where is it? Now, don't just stand there again.
I haven't got it, Mr. Nolan.
Now, listen, Weasel. If I don't get that necklace right now, they'll never be able to put you together again.
But I haven't got it. It's down at Dick Green Dock. Oh, shit!
He's just supposed to say it's down at Dock Green Nick.
It is really a bit of a tongue twister.
I felt for him.
Quickly, we're losing time. I can't help it! I can't help it! Back, Dick Green!
In runs the floor manager, resets everything.
Obviously panicking because they were running out of time.
What is it called? Dock Green Nick. Dock Green Nick.
Come on, quick, we've got to get this done. We're in a hurry.
Dock Green Nick.
A lot of actors talk about this. We've all been there.
Sorry, I'm ever so sorry.
We've all had tongue twisters.
If you go wrong once, it's fine. People laugh and let's do it again.
So now the pressure is on Victor to get this line right.
When someone's putting you under that kind of pressure, the thing you're trying to do, it just gets more difficult because you know that line's coming.
And so, on to take two.
You worry, Ebeldine. Where is it? Now, don't just stand there. Get!
I haven't got it, Mr. Nolan.
Now, listen, Weasel, if I don't get that necklace back right now, they'll never be able to put you together again.
But I ain't got it. It's down at Doc Green Dick.
The Nick.
The Nick, yeah, sorry.
He done it again. Dixon Green Dick.
Doc Green Nick Dick.
Why they write scripts like this, for Christ's sake?
Whoever wrote that line should have thought about that.
Can't I just say it's down at the Nick?
Much to the relief of Victor Madden, this outtake was left buried for years and didn't make it to the final show. But eventually it did find its way to YouTube, where users were quick to comment on this classic TV cock-up.
He only endears himself to you. You can't be angry at him because it is a difficult line.
It's hilarious. I love that.
It's down at Dick Green Dock. Oh, shit!
In 1982, the BBC launched The Late Late Breakfast Show, a Saturday night extravaganza that was half magazine show and half variety spectacular. The show marked the primetime debut of Noel Edmonds, previously a staple on Saturday morning kids' TV, and he proved a steady hand at the head of the ship as the show grew into a massive hit.
As a TV presenter, Noel Edmonds is just the man.
Thank you. And a very good evening to you.
He's been in TV for an awful long time, and as a result, nothing phases him.
We're going to have a bit of discipline around here. And talking of discipline, there's a report...
The show was a riot of high-energy madness with a mix of studio items, big stunts and practical jokes, and viewers loved it. It was such a success that the biggest names in showbiz were queuing up to make an appearance, including the final ever TV interview with ABBA, which was a huge scoop.
This is Noel, probably at his peak, actually, doing one of his bizarre shows with his slightly bizarre guests.
On the 27th of October 1984, viewers tuned in for their weekly serving of fun, including inventors taking on the Toaster Challenge.
James Heath, who's come from Blackheath in South London with his contraption. James, apart from making smoke and a foul smell, what does it do?
It fires toast.
Who has guessed that pop toast?
It's just one of those bizarre things that you would only ever get on telly.
This is clearly a quiet day in the office when they did not have a lot else on.
What's your personal best?
About 15 foot, maybe 18.
Toaster's only supposed to do one thing, toast.
Please, would you please get on with it?
Drum roll, everybody.
This toast attacked Noel Edmonds. And I don't think it's because he's a celiac.
Am I bleeding?
Yes.
This isn't like a hefty piece of sourdough. This is just a piece of, like, classic cheap toast.
I've never bled before on national television.
Like, how fragile is Noel?
Can you see that? See what he's done?
Was that toast in there, or was that a brick?
There must have been a nurse or a doctor watching that going like, that's definitely a medical condition. If your skin breaks because of toast.
I'm going to be looking like Adamant next week, aren't I, with a little elastic glass over there.
I've never seen laceration by toast before. That was a new one.
Well, James, it was great having you on the show. Thank you very much.
You can tell behind his eyes he is like, excuse me, I am Noel Edmonds. One day I will host Noel's house party. How dare a piece of granary bread make my nose bleed?
The usually unflappable Noel was visibly shaken, but he refused to crumble, and using his loaf, he pulled himself together, rose to the occasion, and managed to finish the show.
I've eaten, on average, 10 slices of bread a day since I was 4, and I've never cut myself on it, that or toasted.
That was actually an accident on set, so some poor person would then have to fill in a large form reporting this injury. Toast injury, bleeding nose. I mean, who would believe that? If this went to an insurance claim, what would happen?
I've never bled before on national television.
I think he said, listen, TV people, you either give me Noel's house party or I'm going to sue you for this gash.
Can you see that? See what he's done?
That guy probably went on to be the founder of some software company and made an awful lot of money.
Who would have thought that a bit of toast will cut your face?
And now it's Wednesday night, it's ITV, and it's time to Name That Tune.
Ladies and gentlemen, name that tune!
With all its showbiz, glitz and glamour, Name That Tune had all the elements of the classic game show. With a live orchestra, pro singers, an eye-watering lighting budget and big cash prizes, this was a music quiz that wouldn't look out of place in Las Vegas. Not surprisingly, its roots are in America, and it came to the UK in the 1950s.
Great show, really good concept.
Music quiz show, great hit in this country.
And I used to watch it religiously.
But it was in the 70s and 80s it really made its mark on British television, where it was presented latterly by Lionel Blair.
Welcome once again to tonight's show, and a very warm welcome to our two contestants, Sadie and Ken.
Lionel Blair is numero uno professional.
First one to name 3 tunes correctly wins tonight's star prize, which is a 2-motor cassette deck.
As well as the decent cash prizes on offer, various pieces of high-fidelity equipment were won every week.
Huge Wednesday night show. Big prizes too.
Now, we're going to play 4 games together, but only one lucky contestant goes on to the big prize tune and hopefully win that supercar.
I mean, who wouldn't want the latest Vauxhall Nova saloon?
Prizes were great. You could win a car.
To win a car was such a big deal.
Name that tune.
No offence mean.
No, it's not. Name that tune.
Where did our love go?
That's correct!
After battling it out through various rounds, the finalists still had one obscure piece of music to name correctly.
But hopefully you'll be going home in this fabulous car. You only have to name one tune that's going to be played by our pianist, Mr. Ronnie Price.
It wasn't every week that someone won the big prize.
I'm afraid the title is By the Waters of Minnetonka.
Never heard of it.
It was Coronation Rag.
So, when it did happen, naturally it was a big moment for everyone involved.
Just check. Carriage and Pair!
This is his big moment.
As the camera pulls back, you get the contestant down. Let's see what you've won.
Oh my God, it's that worst moment.
They couldn't even get in. Poor Lionel Blair.
Some numpty has forgotten to unlock the car door.
Anti-climax of that happening at the end of a show was just embarrassing for everyone.
I'm guessing that they didn't expect this particular contestant to win that car. Keep it locked, he's never going to win it.
It was an awkward moment for Lionel Blair and must have raised questions about the central locking system on the new 1985 Fiesta. But Name That Tune remained a popular show until it was deemed out of date by ITV in 1988.
It's just embarrassing, isn't it? It's one of those great things you love to watch.
With great respect to the guys that work the studio, you got one job. You unlock the car.
It's just typical. Car crash TV.
Several years before the alternative comedy revolution, the king of comedy in the UK was a rubber-faced Mancunian in a dicky bow named Les Dawson.
Special guest this week, Neil Sedaka. John Cleese, Roy Barraclough, and the Sid Lawrence Orchestra. And now, here he is, the star of our show, Sodden Wales.
Les Dawson was one of the greats of British comedy.
One of the best comedians Britain's ever turned out.
Can I just say one thing? I've got all your records, Neil.
You do?
Yes, and as one singer to another, you're no threat.
Legendary comedian.
And very, very funny.
His variety show ran for 11 series from 1969 to 76. Each episode of Says Les was filled with showbiz pizzazz, special guests, musical numbers and sketches.
No, what's that?
Says Les was one of his big hits coming out of Yorkshire television.
Very un-PC. Wouldn't be allowed now, but it was very funny.
Everything all right, lads?
Yes, thank you, sir.
Who's that? Special branch.
It enabled him to perform in sketches.
He did all those lovely characters.
Sometimes when we do a sketch, it goes wrong. So we don't normally show it, obviously. But we did a sketch which involved a goat and a famous footballer. Everything went wrong, but we liked it, and we hope you do, so therefore we're going to show it. So here it is, our celebrated football sketch. Come on, get in here!
This sketch also featured at least one member of British comedy royalty.
In this sketch, you've got John Cleese. You know, he's Python, he's 40 Towers, but he's with Les Dawson.
To get people like John Cleese to come in and do a sketch for you, you know, you've got some pulling power there. And one of the players is a goat.
And they're dragging this poor goat in.
You know you're going to get laughs if you bring in a goat.
Now, what did I say? They play 4-2-4. What did I say? Goat 1-2.
Suddenly, without warning, Cyril the goat answers the call of nature. The delighted studio audience sees everything, while viewers at home could only imagine. It's all too much for Cleese and the rest of the cast.
You can't go wrong with a goat. You know that the goat is always going to let you down.
And what do I get?
Hey, Basil, don't go on, Cyril. He's still feeling that ligament.
Oh! Oh! Ganging up on me, are you?
Les is now in a position whereby the sketch is falling apart, so I've really got to milk it for all it's worth.
It's another bloody cat.
Go on, go on.
It's
Les Dawson's trying so hard not to laugh.
You can see Cleese cracking up. It probably stank as well.
Desperately trying not to laugh and to maintain the momentum and the narrative of the sketch.
Anyway, you stop kidding.
Les is desperately trying to recover the whole scene and carry on.
Oh, that's for you, Cyril. I thought you'd pile up on that.
It was obviously funny on paper. What they obviously didn't realise is that goat equals live animals, never work with children or animals on live TV.
Special guest John Cleese had ultimately been upstaged by a goat making a dirty protest. They'd even managed to rope in Leeds United captain Billy Bremner for the punchline.
We'll bring on a substitute in the second half.
Oh, very well done.
The sketch seemed destined to end up as one long outtake, but when it came to putting together the show, the Says Les team made the brave decision to broadcast it anyway, goat included.
You can't write this stuff. It was a very, very funny moment.
The goat did exactly what it was supposed to do, not cooperate and crap on the floor.
Still to come, we're off to Auntie for some classic BBC shows. Vivienne Westwood gets ridiculed on Wogan.
If they don't stop laughing, I shall tell the next person not to come on.
If I'd have been Vivienne Westwood, I said, we're off.
They were being so cruel to her.
And a puppy takes a shine to Gordon the Gopher on Going Live.
He took one look at Gordon and fell in love.
I'm sorry, Gordon, I know. He's just very affectionate.
It looks like he's been dry humped by a chihuahua.
Wogan made his debut on BBC One in 1982, and from 1985 was on 3 nights a week. Often imitated, this classic chat show ran for 10 years.
Wogan was the programme that everybody watched on BBC One.
It's a massive show in its day.
Millions of people tuning in.
If you were on this show,
something was going on. You were the next big thing, or you were already, like, massive and a household name.
You're an all too infrequent visitor to these shores. We're delighted to see you.
Thank you, Jerry. Nice to meet you.
People adored him because he had a wonderful way of interviewing people.
I was on there once selling a record, and it was great to meet him. He was a lovely man.
You met Dean Martin. How come the two of you teamed up? After all, he's a cruiser.
Well, he was out of work and he needed some help.
The other key thing about Wogan, there was a studio audience there, which very much dictated the rhythm of the show.
I didn't like letting him go, but it had to happen.
Well, yeah, you would have thought that you would continue.
Are those cutouts up there on the balcony?
No,
or
no.
They're real people.
No, they've come in out of the cold.
I see.
Terry Wogan worked incredibly hard.
But from time to time he went on holiday, and when he did, Sue Lawley would step in and take over from him.
And that's exactly what she did on the 11th of April 1988.
Tonight's programme is all about style and fashion, with guests Russell Harty and Janet Street Porter, flares, puffballs and mini crinnies. I'll be talking about all of them with Vivienne Westwood, the brilliant original designer, who's been called the mother of punk.
Vivienne Westwood is a hero as far as many people are concerned when it comes to designing clothes.
We're going to have to look at the shoes again.
She was like Britain's #1.
An avant-garde designer.
Respected all around the world. I've seen her shops in Tokyo.
What do you call them?
I call them rocking horse shoes.
Where have you got this pelmet from here?
It's got little balls inside.
Now women have implants put in their butts to try and get that effect.
I think Vivienne's clothes are wonderful. I go and buy Vivienne's clothes, and they're really comfortable. And
we're going to look at your latest collection. What's it called?
Well, I'd like to describe it after. It's called Time Machine.
Time Machine.
Yeah.
Here we go. But tell us about this one then.
Well, the last collection I did was England Goes Pagan. So it's very English.
She was doing things that I think it can be fair to say appealed to a punk generation.
Are people supposed to laugh? I mean, they're laughing at this.
I think she feels great, and I don't think they should laugh, really, but
They were amazing haute couture runway outfits, but they were being brought out like gladiators into an arena of baying hounds who just laughed more and more and more as each one came on.
I mean, if they don't stop laughing, I shall tell the next person not to come on.
Oh, dear.
Well, good for you, Vivienne.
Quite honestly, if I'd have been Vivienne Westwood, I said, we're off.
You're not to laugh. You can laugh.
Terry Wogan would have never done that, ever.
I've never met this response before.
She's quite peed off by this.
I just think that these things are just really sophisticated if you don't understand that.
That is, but she looks like a chip shop, that one.
This crinoline is a chip shop.
It looks like a chip shop.
I don't even know what that means or what chip shop he visits.
It's embarrassing, really.
Can you imagine going to Sainsbury's and that anymore?
Oh, look at this. I'm a funny northerner who's finding all this a little bit silly.
They're just stupid comments.
And who buys them apart from Janet Street Porter? I mean,
I think we're being very unfair here.
No,
Vivienne's a very successful
I'm
designer
not
and the most influential designer in England at the moment.
She's right. They were being so cruel to her.
Come on, this woman is at the forefront of British fashion.
Even though she's kind of strange and eclectic and out there, you can still be polite.
I'm not trying to be unfair, but I'm trying to understand, and I think an awful lot of people don't understand, which is why they laugh, and they're not quite sure what they ought to... We've confused them now, the audience. They don't know what they should be doing.
She puts on a whole fashion show in front of an audience who have probably worn the same clothes 2 days in a row.
Oh, like something not posh, we can't handle it.
We haven't upset you, have we?
No,
not in the least.
Listen,
You're very
I don't mind. In fact, I'm quite pleased, but I usually don't get that kind of reaction. It's
Get this
strange.
reaction, ladies and gentlemen, Vivienne Westwood.
Vivienne's appearance had turned into a car crash moment. Not only had the audience not got her outfits, she'd had to endure being ridiculed by Russell.
Can you imagine going to Sainsbury's and that anymore?
It wasn't the usual warm Wogan welcome, and, unsurprisingly, she never agreed to appear on the show again. In 2006, Vivienne was made a dame, following which her ordeal resurfaced on YouTube, and viewers remained outraged at Vivienne's treatment.
It was really one of those awkward moments in live television where someone who is a guest on your programme is actually being embarrassed, and you never really want that to happen.
I was surprised at Sue Lawley because I thought she could have steered that back.
I would love to have been a fly on the wall in the green room after that programme, where everybody gets together, the producer has got to walk in and say, "Thanks, Vivienne."
Vivienne was ahead of her time.
She's now Dame Vivienne. I think that means she's got the last laugh.
This is the BBC television set.
Going Live was the epitome of 80s Saturday morning TV, broadcast on the BBC between 1987 and 1993. It was essential viewing for children all over the country, who sat in front of the telly from 9:15 till grandstand.
Absolute classic TV for me.
It's the best Saturday morning programme ever.
They've joined me this morning on Treasure Hunt. Oh, there's a picture of them. Yes, you will win those.
A 3¼ hour live show every Saturday morning.
Presented by Philip Schofield and Sarah Green, this live magazine show had big laughs, big guests, and a cute little fluffy thing called Gordon the Gopher.
Well known to people of a certain age.
Kids TV, and it was fabulous.
Good morning! It's my birthday. Happy birthday to me.
I love the fun. I love the spontaneity of it.
Right, you didn't really forget it was my birthday, did you? Did you? No, you did?
For me, the star was really Gordon the Gopher.
Little hand puppet, very cute.
Squeaked his way through life. Nothing ever fazed him.
Gordon the Gopher, who began his broadcasting career a few years before as Schofield's sidekick in The Broom Cupboard, was on hand to assist the presenters at various points in the show, including the phone-in.
So let's keep our fingers crossed. Dialed in the live line number.
I liked the phone-ins. I always thought the phone-ins meant they had those great big telephones like that.
Let's go to the phones. Can you manage the phones?
I think so. I've got Sultan to help me.
Can you manage a phone under there?
One of our regular contributors was Nigel Taylor, the vet.
Hello, Ross. Hi. What's your question?
Well, right, we've got a dog, a Bichon Frise, and every time we take him in the car, he's always been sick.
Somebody had called in about a problem they were having with their pet dog.
Bichon Frise, they're very beautiful dogs as well. They're like big sort of fluffy poodles, really, Sarah, if you've never seen one.
He got with him a tiny little fluffy dog.
It's a good idea to sort of go out with your car somewhere like on the moors.
Putting puppies and a puppet together.
People do tell me that playing the radio loudly helps too.
Two really cute things. The puppet's cute, and then the tiny puppy's so cute.
With the tablets, one of the things I find very often is people give them just immediately before they go.
He took one look at Gordon and fell in love.
He's a 9-year-old Jack Russell, and when we walk, he bites our ankles.
Zoltan does that if you give him half the chance.
He's biting Gordon's ankles right now.
He bites your ankles. You find the terriers, they're designed to be nipping dogs, and you'll find that they do tend to sort of go after ankles. Other dogs that like it very much are dogs like collies that are taught to nip after sheep and things, and occasionally...
I'm sorry, no.
Occasionally Shih Tzus and Gophers go at it.
Shih Tzu just wanted to leap onto Gordon, really, and have his way with him.
It looks like he's been dry humped by a chihuahua.
The dog doesn't realise that Gordon the Gopher is, in fact, just a man's hand moving up and down.
He can't go anywhere because, let's face it, he's a puppet.
Gordon, I know.
So all he can do is squeak and just beg for attention.
I'm sorry, Gordon, I know. He's just very affectionate.
I know full well what will have been going through her brain, and it won't have been, oh, he's just being affectionate.
Oh, no, don't worry. Don't worry, it's fine. He won't hurt you. He's not big enough to hurt you.
Very well handled by the puppeteer.
He's managing to make humour out of this moment.
And that's often a very simple way of sort of getting the dog used to the car.
He managed to just look askance at this dog.
Don't worry, worry, it's fine. He won't hurt you. He's not big enough to hurt you.
And then got more and more irked and worried, and the whole body language changed.
Because he became all scared and he was shaking.
The whole incident went horribly wrong for the Going Live team. But it could have been worse if it hadn't been for a skillful puppeteer and smooth presenting from Sarah Green.
Sorry, Gordon, I know. He's just very affectionate.
This is kind of too cute to be horrible.
It was one of those moments where you would go, oh, that's funny, oh.
There are a lot of kids that watch that programme that don't realise that there's a hand underneath Gordon the Gopher. That could have ruined their childhood.
I'm surprised, you know, that none of the papers picked up on that and had some saucy headline the next morning. But obviously squeaky clean, Saturday morning TV, no?
I'm sorry, Gordon, I know.
Still to come, some classic TV game shows, and one contestant has brain freeze on Mastermind.
Pass, pass, pass. You're thinking this is going wrong.
He didn't have a Scooby-Doo.
And Noel is forced to think out of the box.
Never ever happened before.
When things go horribly wrong on Deal or No Deal.
That is about the worst thing that could happen.
This can't be right. They wouldn't make a mistake like that.
This is going to take some time.
When it comes to the benchmark for being a classic chat show, Parkinson has been the gold standard since 1971.
One of the best chat shows ever.
Everybody watched it.
It's like must-see TV.
A lot of television magic was made on Parkinson.
The man got the biggest names from all over the world.
Just to be on Parkinson was almost like winning an Academy Award.
The king of chat, Parkinson, was famous for his trademark, relaxed and controlled interview style.
Commissioner, you also said recently in a speech that you hope to live as long as Moses.
No, that's quite wrong.
Oh, I see. I stand corrected.
Michael Parkinson, he's very good at dealing with the unknown. He was unflappable.
On the 26th of March 1980, Parky and his guest Clive James were joined by a huge US star who'd just come to the attention of British audiences in the film The Jerk.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Steve Martin.
Steve Martin, he just did these zany, eccentric things.
His punchline was, I'm a wild and crazy guy. He genuinely was a complete one-off.
Want to see a card trick?
Let's see a card trick.
All right. First of all, we shuffle the cards using the famous cow pasture shuffle.
He's different. He's a bit weird.
Hey.
He's a bit wacky.
Get me out of here.
He was so off-the-wall funny.
What's the difference, do you think, between English and American humour, if there be a difference at all?
That's it. Go ahead. Thank you. Okay. I think the difference is basically, if, let's say you're going to cut someone's tie, all right? Like an American comedian, I think would give it, well, I'm not going to use mine, I think would give it more of a shot, something like...
This is a joke, is it?
Well, this is an example,
That's my tie.
He doesn't know what's happening. I think it's very confusing when someone cuts a piece of your clothing without asking.
I think that's really basic British comedy, I think, there. And then, of course, an American would just use the more...
And then snip.
You can see the shock on Parky's face.
You can see the pounds, shillings and pence rolling around in his eyes. How much this tie cost.
Yeah, basically, I think that's the difference.
You're damn right we didn't rehearse that. I think that's very funny, don't you, Clive?
What Yorkshireman wants to shell out for another silk tie?
Are you sure you didn't have that ready? No, indeed not. I'd have worn a different bloody tie if I
He'd have probably put on just an old polyester one if he'd have thought something was going to happen.
That was a new tie.
It was?
It was.
Well, I'll pay you for it.
Right.
The king of chat shows had not only lost his tie, he'd also lost control. And just when he thought the interview had been forgotten, it began appearing every year on Steve Martin's birthday on the BBC's Twitter feed.
If there's classic TV, that is it.
It's shock television before shock television had a title.
This is a joke. Well, this is an example.
I didn't get it at first, but thinking about it, I get it. I think that is the exact difference, because British audiences are like vertical and American audiences are horizontal. It's very clever. I have no idea what it was about.
In a schedule packed with daytime quiz shows, Channel 4's Deal or No Deal was the must-see TV that had over 3 million of us tuning in 6 days a week. Running for 11 years, it first hit our screens in October 2005. It became so loved that it had us rushing out to buy the board game, DVD spin-offs, and even playing the Deal or No Deal fruit machine in the pub.
Deal or No Deal, a very, very popular show with Noel Edmonds.
It came out of almost nowhere, or at least it seemed to, and it was a completely new sort of genre.
The premise of it, you've got a range of boxes with different amounts of money in, ranging from 1 pence to $250,000.
And one by one, you open the boxes. All the boxes are filled by an independent adjudicator. No one else gets to see what amount of money is in each of these boxes.
It's absolutely, completely random, and on the odd occasion, some people walk away with big money.
Hoping for a money miracle on the 26th of March 2008 was 67-year-old vicar David Schofield.
You've got a vicar playing and you just think, God's going to be on his side.
I rather like the look of St. Peter. I'm going to call on you to reveal number 8 box, Peter, please.
9 boxes down, he had most of the big money still in play, including the saintly sum of £250,000.
Kirsty, box number 2. Reveal me a penny, my love, please. Thank you.
The big reveal, what would be in it? Would it be 1p? Would it be £250,000?
Shock horror.
It's empty.
There's nothing in the box.
Hold it, don't touch it. Don't. Oh. Yes, it's a penny. Don't touch it. There isn't a card in there.
Touch it. If I was hosting that, my heart would have sank.
This has never happened before. It's just unheard of.
This can't be right. They wouldn't make a mistake like that.
An act of God.
Comedic vicar. That's what everybody loves. Daytime TV should have more comic vicars on there.
Never ever happened before. We've got a camera. We have an empty box.
They've forgotten to put the card inside.
That is about the worst thing that could happen on a game show or a quiz show.
You have to be able to trust that all the boxes are going to be there, it's all going to be accounted for.
If there's a box with nothing in it, basically the show and the game is null and void.
This is going to take some time.
It's thrown everybody off kilter.
Noel's face, he's more mortified than the vicar who's playing.
Everybody's thinking, my job is on the line here.
An unprecedented situation. Cameras had no choice but to keep rolling to avoid awkward questions.
From the producer's point of view, this must have been a complete and utter nightmare because it opens them to all sorts of allegations.
If the credibility of that series goes, the series goes with it.
This was a disaster that no one ever banked on happening. Noel had been left floundering in front of a studio audience. The show's reputation was hanging in the balance, and the poor vicar's game was ruined. A huge mistake, and it was a done deal for the papers. Viewers on YouTube also couldn't believe the incident had happened.
Embarrassing for the production company because they don't like being caught with their pants down, but their pants were down because somebody didn't do their job.
The poor person who not put that sign in that box, I suspect that night had a very difficult time indeed.
We've never ever had this happen in 707 games.
It could have been job or no job.
We can give you the opportunity to abandon the game and start again. Or the independent adjudicator will shuffle the sums of money again, and we will continue the game.
He could have said, you know, actually, I want an investigation. I feel that this hasn't been conducted properly, and that would have been a major problem for that production company.
So the choice is very much yours, David.
OK, I'll go for the second option, then we'll reshuffle and we'll go for that.
He is incredibly gracious about what's happened to him.
I'm very pleased you're going to play on, because this sum of money will remain in the game. It was the $250,000.
Obviously, there had been divine intervention. The Lord said, "You shall not reject £250,000.
Who knew that the Lord wants money from Deal or No Deal? Good on you, Lordy.
An act of God.
Really spellbinding moment on television. Nothing before or since like it. Real drama on a quiz show.
Mastermind has been running on the BBC since 1972 and is the quintessential highbrow classic TV quiz.
The two things that every quizzer worth his salt wants to win are Brain of Britain and Mastermind, because it's a quality quiz with quality questions.
Mastermind for me is the ultimate quiz show.
With its moody lighting, dramatic theme tune and ominous black chair, the trademark style of questioning was based around the show creators' experiences of being interrogated as a prisoner of war.
I've appeared on that show, and let me tell you, when you hear the dum 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 dum, you suddenly think, what on earth am I doing sat here?
You've got 2 rounds. You've got your specialist subject, which is a subject that you know inside out, and then you've got general knowledge questions.
In 2006, serial TV quizzer Simon Curtis decided to face the challenge of sitting in the infamous black chair.
You won $250,000 on some other...
Yes, on some other
fairly
show.
obscure programme.
Some obscure show where the title asks if you'd like to win £1 million on ITV. I'd always been a fan of Mastermind since the very early days, since I was like 8 or 9. So I applied, having done well on Millionaire and thinking, oh, this quizzing thing, it's easy.
Each of our 4 contenders faced 2 minutes of questioning on their chosen specialist subject, followed, of course, by 2 minutes on general knowledge. And the winner tonight will take their place in the next round and move a step closer to becoming the Mastermind champion.
You have to pick 3 subjects in advance, and then about 3 months later they rang and said, we'd like you to be on, but we'd like you to change all your subjects because they've all been done before.
Simon agreed to change his subjects and 4 months later made his first appearance on the show, answering specialist questions on his favourite band, The Jam.
The Jam formed at which secondary school in Woking in Surrey?
Shearwater.
Yes.
Tie and a Crest.
A Tie and a Crest.
Double A side going underground, Dreams of Children.
Yes.
Beat Surrender.
Correct.
Scoring 15 points with his specialist subject round and a further 8 points in the general knowledge round, Simon secured a place in the semi-finals.
In first place with 23 points, Simon Curtis.
Then it hit me that I had to do another subject for the semi-final because it goes first round, semi-final, final. Not having expected to win, the other 2 subjects I'd picked out of thin air, not expecting to have to use them.
Hello, I'm John Humphreys and welcome to the second round of Mastermind.
A few weeks later, after his first appearance, Simon was back in the chair.
And your name is?
Simon Curtis.
Your occupation?
Administrator.
And your chosen subject?
Is the films of Jim Carrey.
Jim Carrey movies? Oh, there's a lot of those. I mean, what a great topic.
The clue is in the couplet. Specialist subject.
Jim Carrey, in 2 minutes.
All you're thinking is, I need to at least get half of them right.
In which Jim Carrey film is his character's love interest dragged into a car by a father saying, Fiji, we're moving to Fiji?
When you're in the chair, utterly nerve-wracking.
Pass.
You feel you can't remember anything.
The Grinch lives on which mountain overlooking the town of Whoville with only his dog Max for company, and How the Grinch Stole Christmas?
He just goes blank.
Pass. You're thinking, this is going wrong.
And you can see the panic go on his face.
What's the name of the mental hospital which Ace gets himself admitted in a search for clues for Snowflake, the missing mascot of the Miami Dolphins?
Don't know, pass.
He didn't have a Scooby-Doo.
In Fun with Dick and Jane, to which position is Dick promoted in Globodyne, the company which is a direct parody of Enron?
CEO.
Vice President of Communications.
I was thinking, I'm going to get naughty, I'm going to get 0.
In Lemony Snicket, a series of unfortunate events, near which lake does the evil Count Olaf find the Baudelaire children living with their Aunt Josephine?
Once something plays on your mind on a TV quiz, you're done for. You can't seem to come back.
Pass. I don't think just getting the first one wrong is a problem. It's just when you got the first 5 or 6 wrong or passed, that's a problem.
Every pass to that poor fella must have been like a hammer on the head.
For which 1996 film did Jim Carrey sign a $20 million contract, which was a record amount for a comedy actor at the time?
The Cable Guy.
Correct.
Thank God at least he got one.
The film Simon Birch was adapted from the first chapter of which novel by John Irving?
I don't know. Pass.
Then I'll tell you, it's A Prayer for Owen Meany. Your other passes, that response was, and the truth shall set you free.
He's done what feels like 100 passes. He then starts reading out all the answers to the one he's got wrong.
Mount Crumpet is where the Grinch lives, and The Truman Show was the film in which he said, Fiji, we're moving to Fiji.
He's just never getting out this chair.
It's just salt and wounds.
The nightmare is never ending.
Because I'd got into that rut of panicking, there were some of the questions where I thought, I knew that.
8 passes, Simon Curtis, only 1 point.
They could have cut away from his shame, but no, they follow the long, slow walk back where you basically got all the other clever clogs looking at you, smirking.
He just sits there and like crosses his arms like he hasn't been picked in football. It's heartbreaking.
Simon's 1-point specialist subject score stirred up a media frenzy.
I think it must have been just a slack news day that day, and so they thought, we'll make a big story out of Simon Curtis.
The names they called him weren't justified because I knew from 15 years' experience he was a good, competent quizzer.
But worse was to come. 4 years after the press attention had died down, Simon's disastrous mastermind appearance was featured on the show David Walliams' Awfully Good. Despite him having scored a further 8 points in the general knowledge round, in the voiceover, Walliams referred to Simon as astoundingly thick and not very bright.
There is a line, and I think on that occasion, David Walliams and his production team were over the line. I complained to Ofcom, and they ruled against me. So, apparently, I am astoundingly thick and not very bright.
I think if Simon went back on Mastermind now, I think you'd all be astounded at how well he would do.
The truth was that I didn't do enough revising, I didn't revise the right stuff, and I left it till far too late. So I think I went along to the studio knowing I wasn't going to win, but it was worse than that.
Still to come, more classic TV. Mark Curry goes off the rails live on Blue Peter.
It can pull. You can't sit at all. Hang on a minute.
For some reason, I turned the actual knob the wrong way, and instead of slowing down, I just went faster.
And things go too far on the old grey whistle test.
Oh my goodness, has he broken it?
That is the strangest piece of TV I have ever saw.
The Late Late Show is a talk show institution launched in 1962 by RTE as a temporary filler in their summer schedules. It has become a piece of Irish folklore.
The Late Late Show, it's one of those classic chat shows. Get all the big stars on and you talk about their lives, their latest films.
One of the best bands in the entire world. Would you welcome, please, Kenny Ball and the Jazz Band? Over here!
Up until 1999, the show was hosted by legendary broadcaster Gay Byrne, lauded as the most influential radio and television man in the history of the Irish state. Running for 58 years and counting, The Late Late Show is the second longest running talk show in the world, attracting guests from pop stars to politicians. During the 80s and 90s, British audiences got to see the repeat of this Friday night show on Mondays, courtesy of Channel 4.
Oh, all right then, get on with it. Let's welcome Lenny Henry. Here he is.
In 1991, Lenny Henry was the hottest comedian on the scene, so laughs were guaranteed when he popped in for a chat with the host, affectionately known as Uncle Gabo.
On the show was Lenny Henry, who's one of my heroes.
Were you watching Helen?
The healing woman. How you doing?
Lenny Henry is a guest on the show alongside a woman called Helen. oh my God, who is a clairvoyant and a medium and can speak to the other side.
There's only one part of me that needs healing. And Helen, I don't want to talk about it at this moment in time.
Obviously, he's the comedic guest, so he's there to gently rib the other guest.
Let's just say it's going to take you a while to heal what I got.
He's making fun of her, which is the worst decision of all time, because you don't even have to believe in ghosts on the other side to know you don't mess with people like that.
I think it's very interesting. It's good that you never stop talking, though, Helen. I think you should do some card tricks as well.
She's laughing along, but you can see behind her eyes, she's like, we'll see.
You're going to heal your shoulder, and hey, it's this!
He gets his comeuppance.
The chair collapses.
Which apparently is a coincidence, but I fail to believe that. It's 100% a ghost pushing him off.
Helen!
He screams for Helen to come and help her, and Helen's not going to help him. She gets up to do the show of it, but she's not going to.
Helen!
If anything, she's getting more spirits to come and whack him down.
She got her revenge, don't mock the job, and in the end it was that chair that needed healing.
Helen! Am I going to be all right, Helen?
He knows this is karma enacting itself in Ireland on live television.
He's thinking, I've got to star this one out.
Helen! Is there somebody there telling me to get up? Have I got a guardian, Helen? Helen!
Being Lenny Henry and being a great entertainer, he turned it to his advantage.
And that's the other part of the scene. OK.
Don't ever buy any furniture from Dave Murphy.
Instead of being embarrassed, he's a genius and he plays along with it.
Lenny certainly knew how to turn any situation into a laugh fest. It was normally his audience that were rolling on the floor. But a wobbly chair brought Lenny down to earth with a proper bump.
That's the example of someone who's dealing with a bad situation well.
When in doubt, style it out, especially when your bomb's on the floor.
Suddenly I heard the spirit world talking to me. Get up, Lenny!
Even when it goes totally wrong in the worst possible way, that he falls off a chair on live TV, it becomes even funnier.
He's a great comic.
Lenny, we salute you.
If you were old enough and your parents would let you, you might have stayed up to watch the Old Grey Whistle test on at the very late time of 11:30 on BBC Two. Running right through the 70s and 80s, it has proved to be one of the most influential music programmes in the world, spawning a whole raft of music shows in its wake, initially presented by Whispering Bob Harris.
Hello again and welcome along to a programme for loonies tonight, folks.
The Old Grey Whistle Test ran on BBC Two from 1971 to 1986. Long-running programme.
And it was for the sort of people that bought albums rather than singles.
Beamed live from BBC Television Centre, the Old Grey Whistle Test introduced the UK population to new as well as established acts, and many from overseas.
To be asked to be on the Old Grey Whistle Test was a huge honour. Sort of like a Jules Holland, but back in the day.
This was the show where musicians had nowhere to hide, as its USP was a stripped-down, no-frills approach to performance, which focused on the music rather than showbiz glitter, all filmed live.
You can see all the plugs, you can see all the signs, but it was raw.
Now, this was a proper programme. This was bands playing live.
On one memorable episode in October 1977, the headline live act was singer-songwriter John Otway, accompanied by guitarist Wild Willie Barrett. A year earlier, the wacky duo had reached number 27 in the charts with their single, Really Free.
I say, cool, baby, that's really free. I'm really free, really free, really, really, really free tonight.
John Otway was a minor figure in punk music.
Going home tonight, okay? All the things you've ever done for me, and that's true. And I see that look in your eyes. But get inside now.
Sort of two slightly drunk students who've managed to, you know, wend their way in past the producers.
It's going chuff, 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 chuff down the track. Ah, yeah. Chuff, 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 chuff down the track. And so, go home the last time. I'm gonna miss her, yes I am. And I
completely destroyed the sound
of the guitar.
Gordon Bennett.
Oh my goodness, has he broken it?
Cracks his privates in a way that you just want to grab them yourself and check they're all right.
Yes, he's in pain, but he is not going to stop.
He seemed to just brush that right off. It's almost like it didn't happen.
When everything goes wrong and you need a way out, the old shirt buster. That would distract him.
It annoys me to think he was given airtime to do that.
The thunder cracks against the night.
When his partner came along, he must have said something in his ear like, "Hold it down, mate. You know, this is live."
Against my bones.
For goodness sake, just start the end credits. We don't know what's going to happen. He might get naked for all we know. Just bring in the credits.
If I was the producer of that programme, I would have been furious.
So at the end of this crazy performance, they both go in their separate direction. And clearly, Willie's like, somebody get my agent on the phone. I'm not doing this anymore.
It would have been horrible for the BBC production team, but for John Otway, it only swelled his already crazy credentials. Now the performance is a favourite on YouTube, and this agonising moment can be relived over and over again.
For me, it was just a ballsy performance.
That is the strangest piece of TV I have ever saw.
We're talking about it 45 years later. That's how impactful that moment was.
In 1997, the UK got its fifth and final public service broadcaster, Channel 5. They offered lifestyle, comedy and American drama programmes, and one of its most fondly remembered daytime shows was the quiz 100%, which ran every weekday from 1997 to 2001 for over 8 series.
100% was a quiz show. No host, no presenter.
You had 3 contestants, there wasn't an audience.
You get a choice of A, B or C.
In May 1998, The Telegraph reported Sharon Stone's favourite board game was what? A, Monopoly, B, Scrabble, or C, Mousetrap.
And this dismembered voice then lets you know what happens.
The answer is B, Scrabble.
It's a very strange, sterile experience.
And they did occasional ones where they would do a specialised subject.
Welcome to 100%. This special edition is devoted to accidents and disasters.
Producers were like, this will be a fun theme and we can celebrate our heroes.
Our 3 contestants are waiting to play. So, number 1, what is your name?
Hello, my name's Jill Floyd. I'm a staff nurse from Huddersfield.
Contestant number 2, what is your name?
Hello, my name's Mike Povey. I'm a firefighter from Wrexham.
And contestant number 3, what is your name?
Hello, my name is Colin Marshall-Knight. I'm a staff nurse from Harrow.
People that are very experienced with disasters and tragedies.
This is their big chance. Be on a quiz show, it's a lot of fun, it's really exciting. Everyone's going to be watching this.
I'm going to ask 100 questions relating to accidents and disasters, fact or fiction, and at the end of the game, whoever has the highest score will be the champion.
I think the British love disasters. Like, we love a disaster.
People love the stats associated with accidents and bad stuff happening.
Question 1. In aircraft, which device records flight data and cockpit conversations? In which year was the Wall Street crash?
It was real-life disasters.
Which Devon village was hit by a disastrous flash flood in 1952?
Mixed in with questions about, like, movies.
Who directed the mutant flying fish movie Piranha 2: The Spawning?
The two don't really go together very well.
Who died from strangulation after her scarf was caught in the rear wheel of her car? A, Maria Callas, B, Amelia Earhart, or C, Isadora Duncan?
It looks like something Peter Kay would do as a joke.
Which Olympic city was the scene of a tragedy in 1972 when terrorists stormed the Olympic Village?
It's still said with a game show, like, style to it. Like, how many people died in this terrorist attack?
It was A, Munich.
OK, great. That's 100% correct.
In which building did a fire cause a tragic stampede in Paisley, Scotland in 1929? In which year did an avalanche in the Italian Alps kill around 10,000 people? Car crashes in the US kill around 40,000 people every year. Is that true or false?
They're answering the most depressing, miserable questions you could ever be asked.
Where is Bhopal, scene of the fatal gas leak from an insecticide plant in 1984? Which hurricane caused massive death and destruction in Cuba and Haiti in 1963?
Horrific incidents where millions and millions of people died.
Where were several 100,000 people drowned in floods in 1970?
It sort of feels a bit like the more people that died, the more points you're going to get.
Such bad taste.
Question 85. At the Dauphin's wedding in Paris in 1770, several hundred people were killed by hailstones. Is that true or false?
Who thought of this?
It's false. They were killed by fireworks.
My head was completely in my hands watching this programme.
These three poor souls that come on thinking, I'm going to be on a quiz. This is great. This is my moment.
At a church in Alabama in 1902, what caused the death of 115 people? A, panic, B, snakes, or C, poisoned bread?
You can just see as the show goes on, their enthusiasm really drops quite dramatically.
Why am I doing this? This is such a bad idea.
Where did a campsite explosion in July 1978 kill around 200 people? A, Japan, B, Canada, or C, Spain?
This was supposed to be a light-hearted quiz show.
They were reliving every probably worst moment in their professional career.
What caused the death of around 400 in Mid-Glamorgan in 1913? A, mining disaster, B, dam burst, or C, riot?
Whoever done the research on them must have been Undertaker or something in his spare time, because it was very morbid.
It makes you, as you watch it, wish that you weren't here.
And at the end of this special edition, the scores are as follows. One of you has 47%, one of you has 62%, one of you has 64%. Sadly, we have to say goodbye to Jill and to Carleen. Our champion is Mike. You've won £200 for yourself, plus £200 for the charity of your choice.
It's hard to look pleased because it then looks like you're celebrating these tragic, awful... I feel bad even talking about it now.
Talk about accidents and disasters. That is a disaster.
It's awful.
100% was the first game show to air on Channel 5 and was a cult hit. But this disastrous special must have gone down like the Titanic.
How did this ever get from someone's idea, which probably came about Friday night in the pub, past the commissioners, past the channel execs, and onto a screen?
And if you see a script and it says disaster special, surely someone would have said, that doesn't feel right.
Why did no one go, this isn't going well, let's not put this on TV?
I think it would be wise if everyone left the building now. I'm off too. Until next time, thanks for watching and keep safe.
Those people, they probably came out of filming that show and probably either went down the pub or locked themselves in a darkened room and hid under the duvet.
What BBC programme that is still on today launched in 1958 and has been loved by children for over 6 decades?
Blue Peter is the longest-running children's show in the world.
I grew up with Blue Peter. Most people grew up with Blue Peter.
Completely iconic programme.
You sure you don't want any? You sure I can't look at the finished product? What a mess.
Blue Peter is a classic children's television programme. It's a fun show, it's a magazine show.
Hello, and I bet you've never seen a pony as small as this before.
You're talking about the 3 brilliant elements. It's live. There are children appearing on it.
You could never play a cucumber, it would just go all soggy and mushy, really.
And there are nearly always animals.
Well, the story has a very happy ending.
Blue Peter was based on the very simple idea that it should be a programme not just for children, but one that children could feel they were part of. And it was one of the first TV programmes that made every effort to be interactive, with an emphasis on the active.
I'd become the first woman in Britain to freefall over 16,000 feet.
It was great for kids, you learnt a lot off it, it was educational.
This means that over the decades, the succession of its young, enthusiastic presenters had to be willing to take on any challenges that the extremely varied magazine format threw at them. Mark Curry had the right stuff.
To get a job as a presenter is a fantastic opportunity.
And the really great thing about it is there's no cooking involved at all, which is why they've let me do it, because I'm hopeless in the kitchen.
In those days, there was no autocue, so you were sent the scripts the day before. You had to learn reams and reams of words.
You can always stick a bit into a bit of netting, which you can hang up either on a tree, or if you live in a flat, you can stick it on the outside of your balcony. So there you go.
You didn't know sometimes until the day before what you would be doing.
Back to those giants of steam, and they used to be used in the old...
And on one day in 1989, it turned out to be a memorable episode for Mark.
And as you've probably guessed from the noise in here, we've actually got one in the studio.
Oh, and it's a quarter-scale model.
I am driving a very old traction engine.
Now, the full-size model still exists in Hampshire.
On the day, you'll probably have half an hour with some expert that knows exactly how to operate that train.
But this beautiful model was made just a few years ago.
As a presenter, you are supposed to be able to talk to camera, engage the person at home.
It's a very familiar sight in... It's a very... I'm going round and round again. Hello, it's a...
What's quite worrying is the way he's sitting, because, my God, he looks vulnerable. I mean, he's got a knee in each corner.
It's a quarter-scale model of a Marshall traction engine. Hello, Bonnie, get out of the way, please. Of a Marshall traction engine. Oh, of a Marshall traction engine called the Pride of the Road.
But, of course, it's not just a case of climbing on it and having a nice ride round the studio. You've got to remember all the facts and figures.
It's a very familiar sight in St Albans, where its owner, David Saunders, often takes it to steam rallies.
With all the best will in the world, you can practice anything. In rehearsals, everything will run well.
I'm trying to just line it up over here now. It's very awkward to steer. You've got to sort of get that round there like that.
He's trying his best to try and steer the darn thing, but obviously it's not very easy to steer.
Come on, get a bit more speed on. No, go round again.
For some reason, I turned the actual knob the wrong way, and instead of slowing down, I just went faster.
It can pull. You can't steer it at all. Hang on a minute. Hang on a minute. Oh! Stop it!
Ah! Scenery, done.
Stop it! It's very, very difficult to steer, as you can see.
Well, it wasn't half an hour before the show, but it was live.
Stop! Stop! We better bring in David Saunders. I'm trying to tell you that it's a very powerful machine, even though it might be small.
Thank goodness the neon didn't break. It just kind of shifted, and you saw all the wires behind it.
The steam is created by putting coal in the back, and that hits the water.
Blue Peter narrowly missed out on an expensive set rebuild. But for Mark Curry, he never quite seemed to live down his steampunk reputation.
Will it be OK? It just showed his life, folks.
Really good.
All the great stuff I've done on Blue Peter, that's one of the things that people remember.
I don't think he felt it was his finest moment on television.
It just shows that anything can happen when it's live.
Hang on a minute. Stop it!
Still to come, the shows we still love today, and Coronation Street star Kevin Kennedy recalls his alarming interview on Lorraine.
Yeah.
You've got a tag on your jeans.
There it was, in full view of everyone.
I had to defend myself vigorously.
And Lee from Gogglebox is left with a funny taste in his mouth.
Oh, you silly git.
Mortified.
I'm just feeling so sorry for him.
When it comes to classic daytime TV, This Morning is the granddaddy of them all. The longest-running daytime series in the UK, it's been on air since 1988.
This Morning is the staple of ITV.
Classic TV for me. I grew up watching it and I still watch it to this day.
It's a magazine show where lots of guests come on.
Been around for donkey's years, we all love it.
On the 3rd of October 2013, This Morning celebrated a very special anniversary.
For the past 25 years, This Morning has gone live every weekday morning to bring you the latest news, the greatest celebrity interviews.
To celebrate, we went back to the first home of This Morning, the iconic Liverpool Dock studio.
Can you believe it's been 25 years? And this must be very peculiar for you. Richard Judy, welcome back, first of all. So lovely to have you here.
It's like being in a waking dream.
Is it weird?
Because all the old faces, as you'll see later, they're all here, and most people haven't changed a bit, have they?
What we used to have was the floating weather map.
A floating piece of foam, a dock full of water, a hyperactive host.
Everybody knows the floating map in Albert Docks.
It's a very interesting way of doing the weather rather than the old boring green screen type thing.
Predicting the weather for today from all over the UK, it's the one and only Keith Lemon.
Keith, as we all know, is just full of energy.
Can you hear me?
Yes! What's the weather doing?
The weather right now, it's just sort of grey, but let me tell you the weather like a proper weatherman. Yeah?
Yes.
It's going to rain here, next to this thing here. It's going to rain here. This is going to rain.
Certainly isn't a weather forecast, and if you were hoping to find out what you need to wear that day, you ain't getting any information from him.
I would stick to the day job, Keith Lemon.
But later on, I think it's going to get really cool. There's a man! Yes! There's a man!
Suddenly, there's somebody in the docks.
There's a man!
Who is this guy? Is he trying to attack Keith?
Here, use that to float with.
We don't know what it is they're trying to do.
I don't know where the security team were.
Here, save yourself!
This man clearly hasn't planned out what he's going to do.
Help!
It's really uncool if you can't get onto the map.
He's not ruining his shot. Keith Lemon is there to give you the weather, and that's what he's going to do.
It's going to be rainy, really, like it always is. But, you know, let's stay positive, and hopefully it'll get really sunny. This is all right, isn't it, Philly?
Thank you very much indeed.
I love it. I love the fact he's just shouting, "There's a man! There's a man!"
The weather map intruder was later revealed to be environmental activist Jungle Bird. Having previously disrupted major sporting events, this was his first attempt at hijacking a daytime show, and it had gone horribly wrong. His failed stunt ruined a piece of This Morning nostalgia, causing viewers to turn to Twitter to express their anger.
Any guest that needs to go on that map, if they ever brought it back, needs a cattle prod, just to keep whoever is trying to upstage you off.
Earlier, a man jumped in, and I've got to apologise for that, and he is dead now. He died. He didn't really die.
It is classic television, not having, I suppose, the right kind of security in place.
Use that to float with. Use that. Here.
But in fact, as it turned out, it was very, very funny.
There's a man! Yes! There's a man!
For millions of viewers, Friday night is Gogglebox night and has been since 2013.
Gogglebox is just such a great concept. You are watching people at home watching TV.
Couldn't think of anything worse than sat watching you and Nat discuss your favourite sexual position and then toast to it.
Regular people on national television being regular.
So you go at it in the semis?
No, because then there'd just be one in the final, because that'd be pointless. We can't even work out what a quarter-final is.
Everyone at home can relate to at least one of those families on Gogglebox.
Right, come on then. My brain's warm now. Are you ready for brain torture? Yeah?
You get to know them quite well. You get to know their eccentricities.
Would you like to look at your puppies?
Oh, no, he doesn't
Not
like
interested.
them. They all have their own comments and perceptions of people and stuff, and I think that's what makes it.
Further confusion. Don't you think we've had enough confusion as it is? 2 years of it.
They're usually more entertaining than the shows that they're watching.
One of the most popular couples on the show are best friends from Hull, Jenny and Lee.
What the hell's up with him?
His wife's just died.
These two are particularly funny because, as old good double X, it's down to charisma.
No, I know that, but surely to
Some people do get grumpy, Jenny.
Oh, don't I know it?
They can obviously take the mick out of each other.
You know, my suitcase, it's got tea bags in, tins of salmon, tin of corned beef.
They have got a lovely friendship. Incontinent pads.
Yeah. Oh.
You can tell that they really love each other as friends and they really care about one another.
On the 15th of March 2019, viewers tuned in to a hungry Lee.
Have you got out to eat, Jenny?
Yes, have a look in the fridge.
You can't enjoy a good television show without a good snack.
You can't eat that.
What?
Oh, my God, it's my face pack.
Jenny's pure panic mode. It's like he's about to put toxic poison in his mouth.
Mortified.
Oh, you silly git. What? It's... Oh, I've covered in it.
I'm just feeling so sorry for him.
It's a face pack.
The expression on that boy's face, actors couldn't act that.
Look at the lid.
If he's enjoying it, why does she stop him and make such a scene about it?
It's only a face mask. I would have let my friend do it.
I've eaten so many beauty products over the years just because they taste good.
It's a face mask.
Well, it was
I
mint
just put
yogurt.
it in there to keep cold. I can't believe you.
That's akin to going to get some milk and it turning out to be express baby milk from the mother.
It's the sort of thing I can imagine my parents doing.
Lee's late-night snacking had gone horribly wrong, and to make things worse, 4 million viewers got to witness his mistake. Normally commenting on the news, the pair were now the subject of it.
I don't think you'd come to much harm by actually eating face mask. Don't take that at home, viewers. You know, always read the instructions on the packet.
I've had the same thing when my boyfriend brushed his teeth with my pile cream.
You can't eat that.
What?
Oh my God, it's my face pack.
It's almost a shame that Gogglebox can't watch Gogglebox.
Oh, you silly git. What?
I think that is great TV, and you can write that.
It's a face mask.
Well, it was
I
mint
just put
yogurt.
it in there to keep cold.
First broadcast in 1998, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire was an instant hit with 18 million viewers immediately hooked on the game with the biggest cash prize ever on British TV.
Who Wants to Be a Millionaire is the greatest TV quiz show of all time.
The chance to win £1 million.
The tension, the kind of the arena coliseum setting, the fastest finger first.
It captured the hearts, minds and imaginations of the country.
Hosted by somebody called Chris Tarrant for 15 years, the show took a break before being revived in 2018 with new host Jeremy Clarkson for its 20th anniversary.
Chris Tarrant sort of made Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, but Jeremy Clarkson's taken it to a sort of a different level.
Different styles. He's very, very confident, is Jeremy Clarkson.
I prefer Chris Tarrant. Don't tell Jeremy.
In May 2018, Alan Horsburgh was the latest contestant in the chair, and with 16 grand already banked, he was playing for £32,000.
What type of wild animal is an ibex? Goat, pig, hare, deer.
You're thinking, my man is clever, he knows what he's doing.
So the Spanish exchange is called the ibex, which maybe then makes it immediately sound like I'm going to know this, but yeah.
Can I really annoy you now?
Yeah.
I know the answer to this.
Jeremy Clarkson, he's so sure of himself.
I know what it is.
I know it's your show, but you don't have to answer the questions as well, Jeremy.
Feeling the pressure under Clarkson's tense gaze, a nervous Alan rang his friend Fletch.
I've got a feeling it's a deer.
Yeah, so I was between goat and deer, so...
Let me choose, sort of, I would say.
And he thinks, OK, it's worth a gamble.
I will slightly hesitantly go deer, final answer. And you know, so you don't...
I'm not even going to look at the screen. That's the correct answer.
Please tell me this screen is wrong. Please tell me this is wrong and I've got the money.
It isn't.
The Pret told him the wrong thing.
He's had that high of thinking, well, I've done it.
He's thinking of buying a new three-piece suite. He's going to take the wife on holiday.
You can't make this mistake.
What? It is a deer. Is it not a deer?
No, but it's not, mate. You know, everyone here knows what they're doing.
I don't think he's ever been wrong in his head in his life.
I've seen them in Africa boinging along like deers.
OK, I'm happy for your experience, Jeremy, but that is not the right answer, mate.
Oh, no, you've just lost. £15,000.
This man could get up now and have all rights to come and slap you around.
Are you sure? I mean, I've seen ibex boinging along, and they look like deer to me.
No, it's a goat. Move on, next contestant.
It's just come up here. It's a wild goat found in the Alps and the Pyrenees. And I thought it was a deery thing that lived in Africa.
Oh.
It's all right. It doesn't matter.
I've lost 15 grand there.
Of course it matters to him.
Well, I am very sorry, but you're going back to Copenhagen with barely enough to afford the airfare. Anyway, we do that now, ladies and gentlemen. Alan Horsburgh.
Poor Alan had thought he was through to the next question to play for 64 grand, but just minutes later he was on his way home. And having been fooled by a goat, Clarkson for once looked a little sheepish. Twitter couldn't believe it. The papers also had a field day with Clarkson's mistake.
16 grand's worth of goat it was.
How could you make that mistake?
If Chris Tarrant was at home watching this, do you think he would have smiled to himself? I guess you would.
Since 2007, The One Show has been BBC One's flagship magazine show, informing and entertaining audiences every weeknight.
Hello there, and welcome to your live Wednesday One Show with Matt Baker.
And Alex Jones.
The One Show is the BBC's flagship programme.
Prime time.
Millions of people watch it every night.
As many as 5 million of us regularly tune in for topical stories, features, outside broadcasts and live in-studio interviews.
They get some really good guests.
They have people who come and sit very relaxed on the sofa.
We're going to kick things off tonight with a comedian who swapped jokes for Jags to be part of the Top Gear team, but he still finds time to have a laugh behind the wheel.
Please welcome Paddy McGuinness!
In March 2020, the show's celebrity guest was Bolton comedian Paddy McGuinness, who, as one of the new presenters of Top Gear, had come on to plug the new series.
It's one of them jobs when they come along, you grasp it with both hands.
He's just like a really nice bloke that makes me chuckle a lot.
We're just filming the latest one now, which will be on BBC One.
Oh, it's switching.
Oh, yeah.
Hey.
Oh.
Like all the interviews on The One Show, they have to be quick, they have to be concise, and it was going swimmingly.
He's just sitting back, he's chilling, he's being all Bolton.
What the...
What? Are
What's
you just
that?
rocking out tables? You got
What is that?
Oh, dear.
Is this where we've come to on the BBC? A bit of sellotape.
Little does he know how true that might be.
Oh, I'm blaming Brexit. The budget's only just come out. You can't... I've literally just caught that with me phone.
Just cringing.
Rightfully so, he calls this out, and the hosts are a little bit, well, yeah.
How do we make this look not like a bodge job?
Oh, my God. Hello. Hello.
That is what was holding it on.
That is ridiculous. Oh,
Dear me.
I'm sorry about that. Look at this one.
If the whole thing is stuck together by sellotape, we might as well just pull it to pieces and see what happens.
Well, what kind of a show are we running? This is on the BBC. This goes around the world.
That's right. The table was sellotaped together.
Don't you just use a screw?
Do you know what? I'll take them as a leaving present.
Here he is. Top Gear.
There will be some director or producer or going, my God, we have to stop this. This is awful. We can't. This is going out live, guys. We've got to stop this. What can we do?
Well, listen, thanks for coming.
That's all right.
Those are solid.
They're
Those are the
okay.
ropey ones, yeah. Oh, my
Here we
goodness.
go.
Well, listen.
Bet Lynch's earrings.
I have to say, I was watching this one live, and all I wanted to do was just give him a punch, and I'm not a violent man.
The papers the next day were generally disapproving of the Bolton comedian's raucous behaviour on the BBC's flagship show. But the Twitter sphere generally saw the funny side, noting it was time for a change in decor anyway.
It looks like showbiz a lot of the time, but a lot of the time we are holding it all together with bits of sellotape, blue tack here and there.
This is the BBC for you. Oh, it's all fur coat and no knickers.
BBC's been outed, mate. Been outed for a cheap set.
Hi, Lorraine.
Broadcasting legend Lorraine Kelly has been part of our breakfast TV staple diet since 1984, when she began her career on TV-AM as a roving reporter from Scotland.
Lorraine Kelly, TV-AM, Gartcosh.
She's classic TV and a brilliant presenter and a national treasure.
After becoming one of the TV-AM anchors in 1988, she established herself as one of the most popular presenters on breakfast TV. And since 2010, she has had her own show simply titled Lorraine.
Good morning to you. And with temperatures dropping across the UK, well, we thought we'd heat things up a bit.
It's a feel-good programme.
You just come away from that show with a real warm, fuzzy feeling.
Staying with Corrie, my first guest today was one of the street's best-loved residents.
In November 2000, 2016, Kevin Kennedy, who had recently left Coronation Street as the Unlucky in Love character Curly Watts, was on Lorraine to plug his new stage show.
Right now, it's The Commitments.
I'm doing The Commitments.
Now, one of the things you have to do on tour is promote the show. And shows like Lorraine are perfectly set up for that.
So I know the stage show was here in London, but you're going to be touring all over?
All over the UK.
We were talking about this show. It's brilliant. Come and see this show. You're gonna love it.
So when we go up to Manchester, of course, I will go and have a cup of tea with my Coronation.
I think so.
You can imagine Lorraine's viewership going absolutely wild, glued to the television for this one.
The thing with theatre is instant. You know straight away if you're doing the right thing because the audience are reacting.
Sit there all bold as brass doing his interview, telling everyone how well he was doing.
Oh, you've never stopped working, Kevin? You haven't?
No.
No, look, I have to say, because people have phoned in.
Now, Lorraine clearly has someone in her ear.
Because you've got a tag on your jeans. What's going on here?
I bought these jeans to come on the telly yesterday.
Is this massive tag?
There it was, in full view of everyone.
I did 2 shows yesterday. Got to the hotel this morning, put my jeans on. I went, what's that?
She is in hysterics.
And she could not let it go by without mentioning it, could she?
Hang on.
I thought you were tagged.
I am from Manchester, so I suppose it's...
No, don't say that. So they just forgot to take it off.
You'd think someone would have noticed.
Things like that shouldn't pass.
Not that you ran out of the shop without seeing Mr. Kevin Kennedy.
Honest John Lewis, I didn't steal him.
Oh, you've not robbed him, have you?
So I had to defend myself vigorously.
Because you've got to get a special doofer to get them off. That's the thing.
I don't know what I'm going to do now.
Oh, no.
Bless him, he's obviously gone out, bought a new pair of trousers, specially for this interview, and no one's taken the tag off.
Be careful you don't go shopping today, because you'll beep. You'll beep in and out.
Well, they didn't beep when I ran out when I left the shop.
This is why you shouldn't leave Coronation Street, people. Because, you know, we're not sure you can afford jeans anymore.
Sadly for Kevin, no matter how much he protested his innocence, the newspapers couldn't resist adding to his embarrassment.
He deserved it for turning up with jeans on with a tag on them.
We got more publicity from the tag for the show than we would have if I'd have just gone on and talked about the show. I mean, it's genius.
Still to come, more landmark classic telly.
They're really going to town.
Glenn Medeiros regrets agreeing to a guest spot on Jukebox Jury.
The first person we've seen on there tonight that I'd have a decent chance with in a fight.
It's cringingly embarrassing.
And things are going down on The Big Breakfast.
Way!
Horror upon horrors.
Is he dead?
Way back in the 1990s, when BBC Breakfast was sensible.
Good morning from Sarah, and for me it's 7 o'clock on Friday the 21st of June.
ITV's GMTV seemed a lot more light-hearted.
This is GMTV. I am Eamon Holmes.
And I'm Fiona Phillips.
But over on Channel 4, there was a party going on every weekday morning.
Here we go, here we go, here we go!
The Big Breakfast menu of general silliness, celebrity hijinks,
Big Breakfast,
and light sprinkling of actual news.
The Prime Minister is hailing England's stunning night of Euro 96 glory as magnificent.
Was an immediate hit with the British public.
The Big Breakfast was a really successful TV show.
I used to wake up every day with The Big Breakfast.
A youngster's version of a breakfast programme.
All things bright and beautiful, all creatures great and small.
Anarchic. And they used to do crazy things.
To keep the audience interested.
Lots going on.
Jerry, this is your submarine, isn't it? Yeah. And you've built this?
Between 1992 and 2002, presented by the likes of Chris Evans, Gabby Roslin, former Neighbours star Mark Little, Johnny Vaughan and Denise Van Outen, amongst others, it notched up an impressive 2,482 episodes.
The Big Breakfast was a really lively, you never know what's going to happen next kind of show.
One of the things they did a lot of on The Big Breakfast was outside broadcasts all over the place, wacky locations and so on.
Today we're going to talk about this, the racing car of the balloon, and here it is. It's the Cloudhopper.
Always wanted to try and go above and beyond with their location. They wanted to try and do something completely different every time.
That's high enough. enough, I'm high enough, all right?
And they were forever pushing the boundaries of what they were going to do.
And so it was on the morning of the 19th of June 1996 that the Big Breakfast team had another wacky idea that they hoped would keep the nation glued to their screens. This time, Richard Orford had drawn the short straw.
And at 10 to 9, Orford and Bremner go over the top and down the side of the clock tower in the City of London, abseiling.
I see people in a really dodgy situation on heights. It gets me in the most sensitive part of a man's anatomy.
It's only about, how high is that?
110 feet. Oh, that's all right then.
Nothing crazier on live TV than abseiling.
It's the first rule of telly. If somebody's up high, they're going to come down.
A bit hairy, a bit risky, but, you know, it'd be interesting to watch.
I'm so petrified. We're 111 feet above the City of London. I'm with Rory Bremner. We're just about to abseil off this church tower.
They're standing on this precipice.
110 feet above London.
And they didn't seem at all scared.
Horrendous.
You're sitting there already cringing because you're thinking, oh, this is so scary.
I am I tell you, I am so scared. This is Alan as well, just to take us through the final last minutes, possibly of my life. Alan, take us through the basics, please.
OK, Richard and Rory, you're listening to me. You're going to go down there.
It seems to be going swimmingly to start off with.
Right,
oh, no.
Okay, remember, you're applying the brake now.
Applying the brake, so we lean back, yeah?
And there's that awful heart-in-the-mouth moment when they set off the edge.
OK, and off we go.
It's going well.
Down.
This is going well so far.
Gently.
Lean back then. Look at me, Richard.
Way! Way!
Whoosh, he's gone.
You see them falling and you're falling with them.
Horror upon horrors.
Way! Way!
Outside.
Stand by, Vanessa. Here we go.
And it goes black.
I hope he's all right.
Is he dead?
Can you imagine the heart-stopping atmosphere in the gallery back at base thinking, what's happened to our cameraman?
It's that horrible fear that something really catastrophic has happened.
Coming to Vanessa.
Hello. Hi.
Now, that was Jerry I came in. I think he's OK.
It's OK. The
He's certainly being looked after very well.
Leads will have come out.
That's all that's happened. The leads come out of his camera.
So don't panic.
I mean, this could have been really, really disastrous.
Despite Mark Little and Zoe Ball doing their best to reassure the public, with no video link, nobody really knew how serious the situation was. But then a call came through from presenter Richard Orford.
Hello, Mark.
Richard, are you OK?
It's all right. Don't panic. We're OK. We're all fine here. Rory's fine. And most importantly, Jerry, our cameraman, is fine as well.
The relief when we find out that he's OK.
He's OK. He's OK.
That could have ended in a very, very nasty way indeed.
The Big Breakfast party spirit must have sunk to the bottom on that day in 1996. And the near disaster has been long forgotten, until now, that is.
A scary, scary piece of TV.
We, as viewers, tend to forget about the cameramen, and they're so important. All we think about is the safety of the presenters.
There was only one death in this scenario. It was the camera, fortunately, not the cameraman. He was safe and well. Probably just his pride that died that day.
Way! Way!
Jukebox Jury was a celebrity-packed pop music review show that ran from 1959 to 1967 on BBC One, hosted by the smooth David Jacobs.
And welcome to another session of Jukebox Jury.
What they used to do was get a panel of guests in.
They listened to songs that have yet to be released into the charts.
A hit or a miss?
You have hit or miss.
And it was very, very successful, and certainly it helped the music industry at that time.
And don't forget to join us at the same time next week for another session of Jukebox Jury. Until then, right.
Being such a hit in the 60s, TV bosses brought back the format just over a decade later in 1979 with Noel Edmonds at the helm. And another 10 years later, this time with musician and presenter Jools Holland making the selections.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome. Good afternoon, and cheers and lovely. It's Jukebox Jury once again.
They brought it back in sort of the early mid-90s.
With Jools Holland,
who's a great musician and a great raconteur.
Without any further ado, I think we should immediately go and meet our fabulous guests this evening. Vic Reeves and Bob Mortimer. Lena Cherry, ladies and gentlemen. John Fashanu, ladies and gentlemen. None other than Mr. Alan Freeman, ladies and gentlemen. What a top show, ladies and gentlemen. Let's move straight along with the first record.
With Jools Holland at the helm, I think it brought a different feel to it.
Is that going to be a hit or a miss for MC
No
Hammer?
doubt it will be a hit.
Oh, it's unanimous, ladies and gentlemen.
One of the new releases to be reviewed that week was from American singer-songwriter Glenn Medeiros, an established star who only a few years before had a huge international hit with Nothing's Gonna Change My Love for You.
Our dreams are young and we both know they'll take us where we want to go. Hold me now, touch me now.
Glenn Medeiros was a big singer at the time.
Who'd already had a #1 hit.
It's gonna change my love for you. It was that one.
But it wasn't that one that was being reviewed this week.
I think we want to go on with Glenn Medeiros now.
It was All I'm Missing Is You.
They were playing the latest song.
And this was his new direction. It was upbeat, it was getting funkier. He was trying to be the new Michael Jackson.
Pete, what did you make of that?
Lot of old cobblers, that was, wasn't it?
They're really going to town.
Say, for instance, you'd locked yourself in your fridge by accident. I'd put that on in order to alert people to my situation.
The opinions were quite negative.
The first person we've seen on there tonight that I'd have a decent chance with in a fight.
And we're actually quite rude about it.
You're not a violent man, no, surely.
I'm not, but I was just thinking, but you are a violent man, aren't you? When I hear music like that.
Two comedians and they're taking the piss. It wasn't funny. I didn't think it was funny.
Now, I think he's a very good ballad singer, but I think this record is really quite a mess.
Fluff Freeman at least made an attempt to be kind of polite about it.
John?
Didn't like it at all. No, not my sort of music.
John Fashanu, absolute thumbs down.
Well, there was nothing in it for you?
Nothing at all, no, I didn't like it.
You see Jules Holland just sink a little bit further down in his chair.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury and gentlemen motorcyclists, could you please vote?
It was pretty clear that the panel were not in favour of it.
It's a... Ladies and gentlemen, and that's particularly embarrassing and unfortunate for me. Glenn is here with us.
Unbeknown to these poor judges, Glenn Medeiros is actually behind them.
And here's our mystery guest, and I can't apologise enough.
Oh, my God, he comes out.
It's cringingly embarrassing to watch.
The panel are mortified.
Oh, no.
It's that awful moment for everyone concerned. That's one of those moments when, like, all the blood just goes to your feet when you're watching it and you're just like, someone make this better for him.
Coming on, and as a special gift, I'd like to give you this original Poussin picture, now ready to take with you. It's stolen from a gallery, and I'd like you to have it.
He's trying to make it up to her and say, please, just take free stuff. Why wouldn't you want a painting from the set of a show that was awful for you that you will only have bad memories from?
If I was that singer, I would have got the picture and wrapped it over his head.
Now ready to take with you. It's stolen from a gallery, and I'd like you to...
And then stick the other bits up where the sun don't shine.
Thank you very much for coming. I'm sorry everybody didn't like your record. There you go. Thank you. And you sure you don't want the Poussin? There we are. Then. Thank you. Goodbye.
It was horrible.
I don't really like Glenn Medeiros music, but my God, I just wanted to put my arms around him and hug him.
You only have to look online to see how viewers still feel about this TV nightmare today.
Television at its worst. It's mean, it's nasty, it's bullying.
That is TV that has gone horribly wrong.
Junior Kickstart on BBC One was the under-14s version of the popular motorcycle time trials programme Kickstart, where amateur riders competed to get the fastest time over a series of obstacles. The Kickstart programmes ran for 9 years and 13 series between 1979 and 1988, attracting 13 million viewers.
Kickstart was just one of my favourite shows.
This filled my weekend mornings.
What's going through his mind as he approaches this pole over the pit? Oh, beautifully ridden.
Incredibly fun to watch.
Heat 3 for both seniors and juniors. The fastest 2 riders from each heat will qualify for their own individual finals.
Peter Purvis leads us through with some wonderful commentary.
Now, can he manage this? Oh, he can. Oh, that's excellent.
Trials on motorbikes, such a simple sport. You know, dads and kids could have a go.
How's he going to do on the rock and roll barrels? Brilliantly is the answer.
Very nice.
Course is full of different things. You can go up steep hills, through logs. The precision and the balance that you needed, it was so watchable.
A few of the riders in Kickstart would become world-class trials riders, and Junior Kickstart had a full tank of eager young hopefuls. 10-year-old Mark Schofield was one of those, hoping to make a good impression.
On the start line then, Mark Schofield from Neway near Rochdale. He's only 10, riding a Honda 50.
This 10-year-old kid is so excited to get out on the course.
He will have built it all up around his friends,
his family, his school.
This is a big moment.
And he must be pretty fearful knowing what the juniors did to this course.
He sets off and he's looking quite steady.
He's doing quite well, quite a nice start.
This is the one that really caused the problems, and it's caused one for him too. Oh, he seemed to lose all confidence. He just threw that off.
If you've ever done that in your life, you know how painful it is.
Yeah, that was an incredibly difficult challenge, you know, trying to go across a beam on his bike.
Caught his thigh in the handlebars.
10 years old, this is going to hurt, and it's going to be embarrassing, and it's going to be, I'd say, pretty traumatising.
And see him holding himself there. Oh, dear.
One guy falls arse over tit,
flat on his bum.
And the St John's ambulance man trying to get there in a hurry. Well, he probably needs some treatment in a minute.
And then you see the St John's ambulance guy. I say guy, they are probably at least 100 years old.
Well, he probably needs some treatment in a minute. Nick Britton, the promoter. I'm sorry.
None of them seem to be any help because they all keep falling down.
The two men coming in to save the day are falling over themselves, quite literally, to try and help this kid.
You've got to remember that there's a 10-year-old boy who has been seriously winded underneath.
One shouldn't laugh. The poor lad took a nasty knock there.
You could hear his brain ticking over, kind of saying, Peter, don't laugh. This kid could be injured.
Hear the crowd laughing away. Nobody cares about the poor kid who's obviously winded himself.
It's the ambulance men who need the treatment. The young lad there, Mark Schofield, 10 years old, he's back on his bike.
It could have been a lot more serious for everyone concerned, but fortunately for the Junior Kickstart production team, the young rider wasn't seriously injured, and neither were the ageing ambulance men. Phew. These days we can still relive this hilarious moment on YouTube.
It is literally carry on up the Kickstarter.
Still to come, more landmark classic telly. David Bowie has an awkward encounter with Russell Harty.
Quite recently, the newspapers have been having a bit of a bash at your mother. That's really my own business.
David Bowie is having none of it.
If I was Bowie, I would have just turned the telly off.
And Anne and Nick recall their turbulent times on iconic breakfast show TV-AM.
Hello, I'm still here.
I often felt like you were the pilot in the cockpit of a plane that was about to go down.
Should have changed the name of the programme to Dog's Breakfast that morning.
The concept of network breakfast TV was completely foreign to UK viewers until 1983, when the BBC and ITV launched their competing shows. ITV's offering was TV-AM.
TV-AM was the first ITV breakfast television station in this country, and it was the brainchild, essentially, of David Frost.
Hello, good morning, and welcome to TV-AM.
He'd seen how incredibly successful breakfast television had been in the United States, and he thought, well, I can import that idea and bring it to the UK.
The first show aired on February the 1st, 1983, and its lineup of star broadcasters was David Frost, Anna Ford, Michael Parkinson, Robert Key and Angela Rippon, known as the Famous Five.
New studios, a new news service and a new national network. All five of us will be co-hosting Good Morning Britain during the coming year.
I'm going to be presenting our programmes at the weekend.
From 6 to 7 every day,
Daybreak, which Angela and I will be taking in turns to present this month.
And that really is the basic plan.
TVAM was originally, the idea for it was incredibly highbrow.
David Frost and the famous Five thought they'd got it right, and they really hadn't. They went on air with one of the world's most boring programmes I've certainly ever seen.
The first morning they did, I think, a 17-minute interview with Norman Tebbit.
How much of the blame attaches to the government?
Well, I think that you can say that we are partly to blame for the fact that we have tried to force the pace of change in order to prevent things getting worse in the longer term.
But in the morning, when people are rushing off to work, they don't want 17 minutes with anyone, let alone Norman Tebbit.
Not many people watched it, and the net result was that after a while they were losing a lot of money.
Ripon, Ford and Key soon departed, and in a bid to make the show more appealing, younger, fresh-faced talent was drafted in the shape of Anne Diamond and Nick Owen.
Now, if you've just got out of bed, you'll be glad to hear that we've been up for nearly 5 hours, I suppose. It's all part of working in the glamorous breakfast television industry.
Anne and Nick formed a popular duo, and they set a new, lighter tone for the show, with items including Lizzie Webb's workouts and Rusty Lee's often chaotic cookery spots. They signed up popular stars like me and made a new kid star in Roland Rat.
Don't you hit me, mate.
The show's ratings were on the up, but the balance sheet was still plunging into the red.
We all thought it was going to fold and that we'd taken the biggest risks in our careers.
Staff weren't getting paid. Cameramen were so worried about their futures they used to take the camera home in case the programme went bust the next day.
Literally, the electricity and gas men were at the front door, ready to cut off supplies.
In 1984, Channel bosses brought in Aussie executive Bruce Gingell as TVAM's new big cheese, with a clear brief to cut costs and save cash.
He literally had to pull it up by its bootstraps and make it work. He was rough and ready, and he ruffled a lot of feathers doing so.
The show cut costs wherever it could, and by November 1987, relations between management and crew had broken down, and backed by their union, the crew went on strike.
It became very, very unpleasant because people who'd been friends suddenly were on the picket line, and we performers had to sort of go through that picket line.
There's 34 people here, Anne. Yeah. You remember your colleagues? How's that fit with your image as a caring interviewer?
During the strike, programming was pre-recorded and largely consisted of old American shows like Batman and Flipper. But with the dispute rumbling on and no end in sight, in December, Gingell made the bold move to recommence live programming, directing the show himself with an unqualified skeleton crew, including his own secretary as a camera operator.
First, though, at a shade after 8 o'clock, the latest national and international news from Sam Hall in Washington and Gordon Honeycomb here in London. Gordon.
Everything started to collapse on screen.
Hello, I'm still here.
The programme was run by anyone who was around, doing all the technical stuff.
The head of finance, the head of this, the head of that. They became the technicians.
And the result was a complete disaster.
Chris Mann, TVAM, Boston, Massachusetts.
And in the light of the current arguments raging in the National Health Service, I would imagine a report from Chris Mann, which could very well fuel both sides.
You would hear Bruce down your earpiece just yelling and ranting at people. Christabel, what the hell do I pay you for? Go to camera 3 or something. It was, and you're hearing all of this down your ear while you're trying to conduct an interview.
Well, watching that report with us was Mervyn Kohler from Help the Aged. Good morning to you, Mervyn. Are we really better off here?
The whole thing was an absolute disaster.
It often felt like you were the pilot in the cockpit of a plane that was about to go down.
Should have changed the name of the programme to Dog's Breakfast that morning.
Thank you for bearing with us. And if it looked a little bit funny your side, I tell you what, you should have seen us in here.
The dispute was eventually resolved in 1988, and although the show survived until 1992, its image would always be tarnished by this sorry episode.
Hello, I'm still here.
How on earth were you ever going to get a TV show out with nobody clocking in and actually doing the job?
People don't appreciate the work that goes into a television programme.
The technicians keep us on air. And it's not just something that you go, oh yeah, I know how to operate a camera.
As my father would say, it takes a priest to say mass.
Before Pop Bitch, Hello Magazine and Graham Norton, if you wanted celebrity goss, then the man to find it for you was a Lancashire-born ex-school teacher.
Russell Harty was the chat show king.
He got millions and millions of viewers, and people loved him.
Now, I've been reading your book last night. Did you fall asleep or did you get to the end?
The highly individual Russell Harty was an alternative to the more traditional celebrity interviewer, but his offbeat approach was an immediate hit with audiences.
I can't look at you. No, hold.
Even if his interview style didn't go down so well with everyone, it didn't stop him getting some of the biggest celebrities of the day on during his reign, which lasted through the 70s and well into the 80s across ITV and the BBC.
His interviews were brilliant, and he got some of the biggest stars.
He was quite famed for never having any questions ready and, as he called it, going with the flow.
He asked the questions that we wanted to ask.
In 1975, in his ITV show, Russell Harty scored a scoop with one of the biggest rock stars of the day.
Good evening and welcome to what's going to be an unusual programme. In a moment we shall be bouncing ourselves into orbit via a satellite and we'll be landing in Los Angeles, where David Bowie is waiting to talk to us.
To get David Bowie on your show is quite an accolade.
A world-famous musician.
In 1975, David was in the US, where he'd got himself a new image, recorded a new album and completed filming the sci-fi classic The Man Who Fell to Earth.
Are you there, David Bowie?
How are you, Russell? It's nice to see you.
Thank you. It's nice to see you, David. You look well. What colour is your hair?
Which bit?
The centre bit at the top, above where your nose would be.
Well, what colour does it look?
Well, it looks like a bit of something out of the end of Straw Dogs.
Something out of the end of Straw Dogs.
How are you supposed to answer that?
He just managed to roundly offend within about 2 seconds of saying hello via a satellite link.
Now, you've got an announcement to make to us all, David, haven't you? You're changing your plans for the future.
I'm coming back to England in May.
I mean, you do know that the England you left 2 years ago is not the England you're going to come back to.
Well, England don't change that much in 2 years.
He's not been locked up in prison for 30.
Now, when you come back to England, you're not presumably coming back with the glamoury, glittery Ziggy Stardust thing, are you?
I don't know yet. I haven't even worked on it. So I think it'll probably...
Russell Harty's not asking the questions that David really wants.
You haven't planned an image, whatever that may mean.
I think the image I may adopt may well be me.
David Bowie is having none of it.
He's a little bit shocked at how stupid some of the questions are.
What's brought you back? Are you short of money?
And it starts to become a little bit painful. You feel sorry for David Bowie.
I'm short of England, more than anything else.
Because he's on satellite, he cannot show any anger.
Quite recently, the newspapers have been having a bit of a bash at your mother.
He's just really trying to get under his skin.
That's really my own business.
You can just see him getting more and more miserable and more hacked off as the interview goes on.
When you do come back, you'll be truthful and honourable and answer every question that's put to you.
I'll be David Bowie.
They were painful to listen to. It was painful to watch David Bowie's reaction to it, and you just think, when is this going to stop?
If I was Bowie, I would have just turned the telly off. No need to be rude.
God bless you. Happy Christmas and good night.
Thank you. I love you very much, all of you.
And waiting for years for a glimpse of their hero on live television, this horrible moment must have been a huge disappointment for Bowie's legions of fans in 1975. 40 years later, the interview has resurfaced on YouTube and is now viewed through modern-day attitudes by a whole new audience.
Afterwards, somebody needed to take Russell Harty aside and say, here's your P45, son. Catch that number 45 and don't come back.
Are you enjoying this conversation?
I think it's wonderful.
Still to come, a serious chat with the Clintons suddenly gets illuminating.
Whatever went on in their life or their marriage.
All hell breaks loose. Absolute disaster.
And tomorrow's world fails to predict the future of robots.
And he's light enough to be pushed around on wheels by a man or a woman. And right now I feel like breaking him with an axe.
This thing was awful. Please, can I just go and get another job?
Since 1968, 60 Minutes has been the award-winning industry standard for American TV journalism. With audiences of over 34 million, it's the longest-running primetime series in the US.
Anyone who's ever been to America will know that 60 Minutes is the preeminent program.
One of the #1 biggest news programs in the world.
It's a bit like Panorama or Newsnight.
It had very high standards in journalism, the best interviews, the best interviewees.
In January 1992, the 60 Minutes team were preparing to film one of their biggest ever exclusives. Smartly dressed producers poured water for presidential hopeful Bill Clinton, who was getting ready to answer allegations about an extramarital affair. The woman in question was reporter Jennifer Flowers.
Naughty, naughty Bill.
To prevent his campaign being torpedoed, Clinton agreed to an interview to air after the Super Bowl. Looking cozy on the sofa, surrounded by a busy crew setting up, a nervous Bill was briefed by an eager exec.
I think at some point you're going to have to be as candid as you know how, and then from there on you say, I said it on 60 Minutes. If you want to know what I think or say on this subject, go get a tape and run it again.
This was a key interview for the Clintons.
This was his opportunity to tell the whole of America that he didn't do it.
People are sitting out there, voters, and they're saying, look, it's really pretty simple. If he's never had an extramarital affair, why doesn't he just say so?
That may be what they're saying. You know what I think they're saying? I think they're saying, here's a guy who's leveling with us.
At that point, nobody had ever seen Hillary, really.
There isn't a person watching this who would feel comfortable sitting on this couch detailing everything that ever went on in their life or their marriage. Jesus, Mary and Joseph.
Bang! All hell breaks loose.
A whole lighting rig comes crashing down.
Absolute disaster.
Jesus, Mary and Joseph.
It kind of pierces this almost unbearable moment. Is he going to say that, yes, he's had an affair or not?
Had that fallen a little bit further forward and hit them on the head, that could have been so dangerous.
Massive risk of burns, massive risk of possibly quite serious head injury.
This could have changed the course of history.
Golly, thank you. Oh, gosh, that was scary.
He's sort of clutching onto her and hugging her and looking very worried.
Looking for all the world like the most loving, protective partner.
Oh, I'm all right.
Oh, I was so afraid. Oh, Bill, you are my hero.
Oh, you see? I told you I love her. Is the camera on still? Is the camera on still?
Oh. Bill's like, told you guys.
It does make you possibly question, did those affairs really happen?
The Lights Falling wasn't 60 Minutes' planned exclusive. Their scoop with the soon-to-be most powerful man in the world came to a shocking standstill, and the high-profile guests were visibly shaken. The incident was cut from the iconic episode, but released as part of a subsequent special. Years later, when the footage was posted on YouTube, the show, famous for creating talking points, became the subject of them.
The producers must have been sweating cobs.
This was a major accident.
Sitting on that sofa, not just the governor of Arkansas and his wife, soon to probably be President and First Lady, but they're both lawyers.
Jesus, Mary and Joseph.
That should never have happened. And the fact that it did reminds all of us of actually how dangerous television studios can be.
Running between 1976 and 1981, Saturday Night at the Mill was the spin-off of daytime favourite Pebble Mill.
You're going to see some great interviews, maybe some famous, actors, pop stars, that kind of thing.
The show was hosted by former England cricket captain Tony Lewis. On the 8th of April 1978, Tony's guest was one of Britain's biggest film stars who had a reputation for being a handful.
He's the screen's tough guy, practical joker, one of the handful of British stars who's never out of a well-paid job. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Oliver Reed.
Oliver Reed was an amazing actor.
Probably one of our finest.
He was one of those actors who got better as he got older.
Viewers tuning in were looking forward to seeing an actor at the top of his game talk about his new film, Tomorrow Never Comes.
He looks great. He's really quite stylish with his moustache and his beard. He looks very kind of cavalier.
Good evening and welcome, as they say.
Taff, listen. We had a thing. We had a thing this afternoon where everybody came up and they said, "Listen, I'm either going to wear something that's grey or something." Take off that.
What on earth is going on?
You changed your trousers.
It's all very weird.
My God.
Is he perhaps just a little bit pissed?
It's just the most bizarre thing I've ever seen.
I've been reading words whirling around, lovely words about you, on what they call auto cue here. But you couldn't do my job because you are dyslexic.
We start to wonder, is this just banter? Do they know each other really well?
Kenny, give me some Jot music. Give me some Jot music. Ken, give me some Jot music and I'll see you that I'm dyslexic. No, come on.
Where's the manager? Where's the PR team? Someone call someone. Oliver Reed is drunk on television.
It's an amazing thing that a cricketer can get a job up at Pebble Mill like this and play as popular cricket as you did do.
What's really interesting is seeing Oliver sat down afterwards. He's totally in his comfort zone.
And we've heard you on Radio London, and I know it's the same sort of thing. It's an amazing... How did you get this job?
Oliver did have a tendency to take over the show.
If you're going to interview Oliver Reed, it's a bit like playing tennis with a hand grenade.
My father told me I should come here and be serious.
It's going to go off sooner or later.
Kenny, you've got the Jot music now. Will you come and do some Jot music with me? No, come on.
That's like being on a night out in Wolverhampton at about 1 a.m. But this is being broadcast on TV.
It's a bit of a car crash.
Nobody ever thought that I'd do that because they said that I was a sensible actor.
Poor Tony Lewis.
This kind of thing would only happen in the 70s. You know, you just wouldn't see it now.
Unable to control Oliver, Tony Lewis's interview had gone horribly wrong on live television. Viewers hoping to hear about his new film had to endure drunken antics instead. This was the first time he'd appeared drunk on a UK chat show, something he'd repeat many times more before heading off to the Great Boozer in the Sky in 1999.
I would be so interested to know what happened after the cameras turned off. Does Oliver just put his trousers on and say, "Thanks so much, guys, see you later"?
If you get Oliver Reed on your show, you don't know what you're going to get. Apart from madness. That's what Tony got.
Nobody ever thought that I'd do that because they said that I was a sensible actor.
Launched on the BBC in 1965, Tomorrow's World offered viewers a glimpse into the technology of the future, and it was enormously popular, regularly attracting more than 10 million viewers to its live broadcasts.
Tomorrow's World was the epicentre of science. It was the cutting edge.
I remember seeing things that were on Tomorrow's World and thinking, God, that's scarcely credible.
Industrial consultant Rex Malik feels the business world's pulse from his bedside. Stock prices and market trends are available to him through Europe's first home computer terminal.
7 o'clock on a Thursday night just before Top of the Pops.
we all tuned in. We wanted to know what the future was. We wanted to know what exciting gadgets were out there.
When technology was really kicking in, some of the things that we take for granted now were such a big deal when we watch Tomorrow's World.
This new machine and machines like them mark a fundamental change in the way all of us will soon be communicating with machines. Electronic notepads will allow us to write directly onto the screen as easily as using pen and paper.
All the latest technology and things that would be happening in the future, they gave you an insight into the world of tomorrow. But today...
But at the time, it was really amazing viewing.
The show featured live studio demonstrations, and this item from 1981 saw Kieran Prendeville taking on a robot programmed to play snooker with commentary from a legendary sportscaster.
And he's made a terrible mistake there. He's gone in off.
They went to such trouble. They got Whispering Ted Lowe as the commentator.
His opponent, the world champion of the year 2000.
We were all into robots as kids, weren't we? And to actually have a robot on the telly in those days was extraordinary.
The anticipation has been built up and we're expecting incredible feats of engineering.
Our champion about to pick up the cue ball.
We're waiting. And we're waiting.
Our champion is, in fact, not yet switched on.
First rule, you've always got to make sure the damn thing's turned on.
The flamboyant Prendeville, Kieran, is waiting for the action of his opponent. Any moment now, it will happen.
And the presenter's getting a bit awkward because nothing's happening.
Well, we appear to... Nothing appears to be happening.
Children, animals, you should probably add into that computers and robots. Don't ever try and do them live.
Let me introduce, first of all... Oh, wait a minute. Oh, God.
And the opponent's back at it. He places the cue ball in the spot he wanted. It's on the yellow spot. Which ball is he going to park? He's in for a big break.
They obviously had great faith in the product and the item was going to work.
Takes the cue. A two-way cue and the red into the bottom pocket. But it's not quite there.
It can't really play snooker.
This thing was awful.
It's a real anticlimax.
Didn't get the shot right.
I was about to concede the frame here to this guy. It's amazing.
It made a lot of noise.
This, I'm advised, is one of the wonderful things about live television. You set the thing up so that he's got to win the frame. He's bound to win the match. And even when he does decide to operate, he still can't put the red down.
Kieran Prendeville, a little bit disingenuous, getting the ump with this machine.
Please, can I just go and get another job?
Hissing Sid is, of course, a robot, supposedly carrying out pre-programmed instructions to an accuracy of within a millimetre. Yes, quite.
This is such a complex thing to do, and it's live TV, and it ain't working.
I still found that more interesting than snooker itself, though.
Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, this is Hissing Sid. Goodbye, Hissing Sid.
You could see the presenter going, oh, my God, why are we doing this?
Yeah, I can't be bothered with this. Let's press on to the next item.
I should say that...
Live to the nation, Kieran ploughed on, hoping the machine could manage the simpler task of laying a cup and saucer for afternoon tea. But even then, it needed a helping human hand.
Well, because he uses compressed air, he's clean, and he's light enough to be pushed around on wheels by a man or a woman. And right now, I feel like breaking him with an axe.
It's probably worked 99 times out of 100, but just when you need to, for that bit of television, it doesn't work.
Cringe-worthy and painful television.
I don't think there should be a snooker tournament for robots anytime soon.
Goodbye, Hissing Sid.
Still to come, we've left the best till last, and we've a horribly wrong moment from the long-running show that's graced our screens for over 60 years.
We've been hearing a great deal about the inner planets.
I can't see one single star, can you, George, anywhere?
Oh, my gosh.
No, we are totally obscured.
It's gone completely tits up.
This, of course, is one of the hazards of astronomy. There's just nothing one can do about it at all.
When it comes to classic TV, you don't get much more classic than the popular astronomy series The Sky at Night. To date, there have been a staggering 800 episodes and counting.
We've been hearing a great deal about the inner planets.
The Sky at Night was a brilliant concept, going by Lord Reith's original instruction to entertain, but also to inform.
But what about those remote members of the Sun's family? Uranus, Neptune and Pluto.
The Milky Way, the Moon, Mars, Jupiter, all of that kind of stuff.
It was one of those programmes that I think we all grew up with.
It was presented by National Treasure Patrick Moore.
It's wonderfully British, eccentric.
He's listed in the Guinness Book of World Records as the most prolific TV presenter in the world, having hosted all but one episode of The Sky at Night between 1957 and January 2013. Back in 1961, the producers of The Sky at Night had planned a one-off special outside broadcast.
Well, this is the 50th Sky at Night. We began the series way back in April 1957.
The entire 30 minutes would be filmed entirely from a back garden in the south of England, and crucially, it was live.
So I'm speaking to you tonight not from the studio, but from George Hole's Observatory at Patcham, which is near Brighton in Sussex.
We're going to do it live. Live, it's going to be wonderful.
We have, in fact, as you can see, we've fixed a television camera onto the end of the telescope, and as soon as anything comes out, we'll be able to give you some direct pictures.
And this is state-of-the-art technology back in the day.
And this guy in Brighton has got the biggest telescope you've ever seen.
To rig this up, I'm sure a lot of people were patting themselves on the back going, that is a good piece of equipment.
Everything is set to go.
What we planned to do was to start off by showing you some stars, then go on to the Moon, then Jupiter, and finally, the most spectacular thing of all, Saturn, the planet with the rings, which never has been shown before on direct television.
It was live. It was exciting.
We've reached the nirvana when it comes to capturing the glorious, the magic of the celestial dome.
You could imagine there would have been millions of people tuning in for this.
At the present moment, I'm looking round, trying to shield my eyes from the lights, because we've got quite a lot of light here, of course. I can't see very many breaks at all. The Moon is clouded out, and so is Jupiter and Saturn.
And then the cloud just kicks in.
And he knows there's absolutely no chance whatsoever they will see anything.
What do you think of the prospects now at the moment?
I think we're nearly totally obscured, Patrick. I saw Jupiter a few moments ago. I can see it now.
I can see
it's gone again.
This is one of these infuriating things about which we can do absolutely nothing.
Nothing at all.
Oh, my gosh.
It's gone completely tits up.
Typical Britain is cloudy.
I can't see one single star. Can you, George, anywhere? If we can see one star, we'll just get the telescope onto it and give you at least a direct picture of that.
No, we are totally obscured.
This is Car Crash.
You can feel his pain and his agony.
There's hope yet. We still have some minutes.
I can see Altair.
Can you?
But it's gone again. It goes before you can get near it.
Well, Altair seems to be about the best bet. I suggest you turn the telescope onto Altair, and just as soon as we get any kind of a picture at all, we can feed it through, so to speak. Any luck?
No, I must be able to see it before I can get onto it.
This little chap in the back, constantly looking, fiddling around, then they move it a bit, then he constantly fiddles a bit more, then he has another look.
Well, we have still got a few minutes left. I still can't see any gaps from here.
But he labours on, because he knows he's got a 30-minute slot to fill.
You have to keep filling, because the one thing that you want to talk about is actually not happening, but when it's not happening, what do?
There is definitely a lightning over there now, George. Can you see it? It's coming out. Yes, there is the Moon. I can see it for the moment. No, it's gone again.
It's gone.
I mean, they just wittered on.
However, absolutely infuriating. There's nothing one can do.
And because it's the BBC, you can't even rely on a commercial break.
Did nobody actually think to look at the weather forecast?
Oh, no.
Just as I got it on the crosswires, it blacked right out.
How absolutely typical. There's nothing we can do about it.
I can't move a 24-inch telescope quicker than that.
No, I'm afraid you can't. Well, is it worth keeping it there, do you think?
Well, there's nowhere else to point it, is there?
No, I'm afraid not.
I mean, I've got to give him credit where it's due. I think at that point I'd have taken my mic off and walked out and gone, it's all over. It's all over.
And since the full excruciating episode has been posted online for today's audience, it's clear that this unique moment of classic TV is regarded with affection, and viewers have nothing but praise for the man who held it all together.
I can tell you something for sure. that 30 minutes would have been like 3 hours for him. He would have noticed every single second on the studio clock or his wristwatch ticking by.
This, of course, is one of the hazards of astronomy. There's just nothing one can do about it at all.
Really, it was a lesson to all of us, I think, in don't ever be put off by the circumstances that may completely muck up your very carefully proposed outside broadcast.
And so, from Brighton, where the sky is now completely overcast, good night.
Good night.
From blankety blank to millionaire, they've gone from light entertainment to must-watch telly. We look back at TV's biggest game shows, 50 Years of Fun, Tuesday at 8, right here on Channel 5.